That's right. It's Monday night. Sports on the Hill podcast, True Radio Network, CP3 coming to you live from the lab. Robbie G live in the man cave, bringing you another great episode of Sports OTHP, episode 259. We got some Capitals talk to recap last week. We got some Winter Olympics talk brought to you by Robbie and some of his Twitch buddies that's going to be on the show with bringing in that new audience. I know Robbie started his feed already. I want to appreciate you guys that's tuning in. See, you got Robbie got some company in the feed already, causing some havoc. But we appreciate y'all tuning in. I know Robbie's doing a lot of good things over there on Twitch and is gaining a lot of friends and followers of the show. So we appreciate that. And then, as always, we'll end the show with the NBA roundtable. I'll be making an early exit tonight because I haven't really been able to keep up with the Olympics, and basketball just isn't my thing. And I'm going to talk about the Washington Commanders and the name change and some of the thoughts of the fans and my thoughts on the name and my feelings toward everything that's been going on the past few days. But Robbie G, how's it going tonight, good sir?
It's going well. Just sharing to a couple of groups. I've got a dog here that's trying to get into everything that's possible. She's a puppy. She it is what it is. But yeah, it's been a good week. I wish I had gotten to see a little bit more of the Olympics. It's been pretty exciting, but I'm really excited I have a whole team of people that are going to help break it down. The All-Star game is really exciting too. Now the cat and the dog are chasing each other. Such is life. Yeah, so but I did catch a lot of the All-Star game, and it's oh my god. It's so bad. But it was really good to catch up onto the All-Star stuff and for the Olympic stuff. And yeah, I can't wait to break it all down with you and the rest of our team. We got some special guests coming on the show in a little bit. Davey the Sandwich Guy is going to talk Olympics with us. And we've got Stuart, who's the Mod Father, which I'll explain the name in a little bit. He'll be joining us for our All-Star coverage. But before we get into that, we can start off with some hockey talk. I'm just sharing to the last two groups right now. Yeah, it was a interesting up and down week. The game we were a little bit more worried about, we actually won, and the game that maybe we were a little less worried about, we didn't. Now, one caveat is one game we had Ovechkin in, and the other game we didn't. So obviously that makes a pretty big difference between these two games. But let's talk about the first one first. I'm just pulling up the scores right now. So it was against the Penguins. It was an exciting matchup. It started off with Nick Dowd scoring his sixth goal of the season, shorthanded. So Daniel Sprong took a holding penalty, and then Nick Dowd, just a couple of seconds into that holding penalty, scored that shorthanded one. Unfortunately, Malkin also scored on that same power play about 30 seconds later, made it 1-1. Russ scored his 13th of the season, another power play goal, assisted unfortunately by Sidney Crosby, made it 2-1 Pittsburgh. Dmitry Orlov on the power play, just a couple minutes later, a little less than 5 minutes later, scored his sixth goal of the season, assisted by Connor Sherry, his 10th assist, and Justin Schultz, 8th assist. The first goal was assisted by Carl Hagelin, his 6th. I didn't mention that. But anyway, we were tied 2-2 after the first period. The second period, another power play goal, this time by Russ, his second of the game, his 14th on the season. Another assist by Sidney Crosby, and another assist by Jake Gensel. Basically the exact same line as the previous goal. They put him up 3-2. And then Daniel Sprong scored in the final minute of the second period, his 8th of the season, assisted by John Carlson, his 25th. It was a really nice goal. Ties the game at 3. And then Dmitry Orlov, 4 minutes 17 seconds into overtime, goes the 4 minute 17 second mark of overtime. Dmitry Orlov scores his 7th goal of the season, assisted by Evgeny Kuznetsov, his 31st, and Tom Wilson, his 18th. Both of the people that assisted on that were in the All-Star game that we'll talk about in a little bit. But let's break that down, Carol, a little bit further. What were some of your thoughts on this up and down game that was very much based on the power play and penalty kill? I thought was important in that game.
Yeah, this definitely was a crazy game. Started out with the Caps taking an early penalty, which has been a trend lately. But to kick it off, they got a shorthanded goal, which put them up 1-0. And then on the same power play, the Penguins scored. Then the Caps took another bad penalty, gave up another goal. Then Orlov scored on the power play. So the first 4 goals of the game were all special teams. It was a crazy game. Then the next goal by Russ was a power play. So we had 5 goals in a row that was all, special teams. And Sprong with a great play to, get the game back even. And then your boy Skorlov, as you like to call him, with 2 very important goals, the game winner in overtime and very crucial goal in the third period. We gave him a shout out a couple of weeks ago. He's definitely been playing very well, and hope to continue on the trend that he's going right now.
Yeah, for sure. I was really excited. I was really nervous about this game though, because as a back-to-back, we had a really tough matchup on the second half of this. But I was super happy that we would get the win, especially in Pittsburgh. Let me let my dog out. Hold on.
Go ahead. That was a huge win in Pittsburgh, especially the fact that they beat the Capitals here at home, and that overtime win. I think that was the first time the Caps have won in overtime since what it was 2000 and I want to say 11, but it might have been drawing a blank. I talked to Robbie about it. It's been a while since the Capitals defeated Pittsburgh in overtime. In Pittsburgh. And Robbie, what was it, 2011 they said it was, or 2017? I can't remember. They said the last time the Caps beat Pittsburgh in overtime.
Well, the last time was in 2018 in the playoffs, which is the only one that really matters. But the last regular season one, I think wasn't something like that. It's been a long time. Although we've done pretty well in Pittsburgh, just not in overtime.
Which is a trend with this season also.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm happy that lately in overtime we've been playing better, but you got to figure with the odds. I mean, we were like 0 for 9 in our first, so like they have to come back around. We're too good of a team. We're too skilled. I mean, it shows. We'll talk a little bit about it in the All-Star game, but it's, having a Tom Wilson and a Kuzi, they're both great 3-on-3 players. Both of them have scored, goals in overtimes in the past. And, they obviously both played very well and were the first goal scorers on their respective games in the All-Star game for both games. So we clearly have the skill there. It's becoming a possession game where a lot of players are trying to possess the puck and cycle back and try to catch the other team off guard. The format for overtime has kind of changed, I would say, this season over previous seasons. People, at least when they're playing the Capitals, can kind of see that they're going to try to tire us out and then attack, just try not to give the puck back to the Capitals as much as possible.
They definitely use a lot more strategy when playing the Capitals. They play a lot more keep away. And, they clear the zone out and, change up to try to catch us on a bad change or with, not a defenseman on the ice and try to take advantage. So teams are definitely playing the Capitals different, and it also trickles down from the power play because the teams are playing, they're playing a more of a pressure game because they know the Capitals aren't in sync. And that's just adding to the problems with the power play that the opponents are taking away time and space and they're not able to, get those passes or get, with Oshie still being out, that's a key piece to that power play because he plays that bumper position so well and he's so deadly from that spot where he's able to pass or he'll take that one-time shot as soon as it's Nicky or Kuzi set it up for him. So I'm still attributing the bad power play to us not being full strength, but they definitely have to do something on the power play because they're going into the next game. That was a very big issue and one of the main reasons why they lost that game. But,
for sure.
We also Oshie about how soon, what injury and how soon he might be back because I haven't heard anything at all.
Yeah, and I don't think he wasn't practicing today. So I think it's still week to week at this point. So yeah, and also Ovi got put in a protocol right after this game, which the timing seems so suspect to me at first, right? Because we know that if he misses the All-Star game, he's got to take a game off. And they've been lobbying all season long that he's not going to miss it this year. He's going to be there, blah, 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 blah. And then he had a COVID test and it went positive. And I was like, well, that's a way to get out of having the thing. But then I found out that his wife was flying all the way from Russia, left their kids back in Russia, flying all the way to DC to fly to LA with him to celebrate going to the All-Star game. And I'm like, that seems like a lot to try to fly her all the way over. And she's like documenting the whole thing on Instagram. So you see she's on the airplane, she arrives in DC only to turn around and fly right back. Like that seems like that would be an awful big ruse if they're trying to try to pull one over on people. But yeah, so it was crazy. He didn't play in the second game, and I think that really hurts us. I mean, especially in the power play, having him out there, even if he doesn't score, he draws a crowd, right? He draws 1 to 2 players. So like it opens up a lot of opportunities for the other players on the team. And so that obviously is a struggle. The game started off horribly for the Caps. I mean, in the first period, he gave up a goal to one of the highest goal scorers in the league, in Draisaitl, minute 30 into the first. Then 3 minutes in, Evander Kane, the guy who the Capitals could have got, but we didn't want because we thought it could be a headache, right? Which I still don't disagree with that decision.
No, I don't.
But at the same time, he knows that we could have had them, and I'm sure that was fuel for the fire for him, right? So he scores. And then Connor McDavid, who is just amazing, he's just an incredible player. He scores on the power play. The fact that they've got such talent on their team and they are out of the playoff hunt right now, it's crazy to me. And that's why I tell my dad was like, oh, they're not very good. Look at where they are in the standings. I was like, you got to always look at what are they doing now? Because their last 5, we talked about it last week, they had won 4 out of 5. So that's obviously they're trending in the right direction. You have 2 of the top 4 point getters in the league on different lines. So it's not like you could say, oh, it's like Ovi and Backstrom where they always assist on each other's goals. They're going to have the same number of points or whatever. There are centers on 2 different lines, but they do get a lot of points on the power play. So they do sometimes, play together in that fashion. But still, right, they should be better than they are. Yeah, and according to the standings, at least, I think.
When they get a lead, that's when they're dominant because they're so talented. And we saw in this game, they got the lead, but depends on how they have a lead. An early lead, and they're able to, teams are able to come back on them because they don't play solid defense. They're just looking to outscore you. And like we said, this game started out with that. I just think they jumped on the Caps after the Caps having the back-to-back, and they were off the night before.
Yeah. So my dad just thanked me for mentioning he's in the Twitch chat. We've got a lively crew in Twitch chat. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. All right, but then we start fighting our way back into this game. Lars Eller, 8th goal of the season, assisted by Justin Schultz's 9th at 7:36, just about 2 minutes after the last Oilers goal. Made it 3-1. Connor Sherry scores his 11th of the season, assist by Martin Favari, his 4th, and then Nicholas Backstrom, my old friend, with his 10th assist. He's already got double-digit assists, even though he missed such a huge part of the season. Makes it 3-2, and at this point, I'm like, oh man, we've got a game, right? Goes into the third period. Kuzi scores an unassisted goal, his 14th of the season, 2:48 into it, and it's a tie game. It's a 3-3 game. It's anybody's game at this point. And then at the very end of the game, one of my best friends was at this game. Shout out to John Benson. And his fiance took him, and I was so excited for them because here we are, about 4 minutes left in the game, and we get a power play, Carol. And I text him, this power play was going to decide this game. If we score here, right, we're gonna win. I'm so frustrated that I was right, but it wasn't the way that I wanted it to. They scored a shorthanded goal, which completely, at that point, I knew this game was over, right? I just, you don't have an opportunity like this with 4 minutes left and squash it and get another shot. Maybe it happens, but I think it's really unlikely at this point, right? So, because they've already had done all that work to come back, only to let it go away on a shorthanded. Makes it 4-3. They get an empty netter. Same guy who scored the shorthanded goal, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, gets his 5th and 6th of the season, makes it 5-3 in the end. And I just think that we ran out of gas. We didn't have Ovechkin. Our power play was out of sync, and we're playing a back-to-back nights where we had to go to overtime and we had to travel. And it's just like, if we'd scored on that power play, we would have won that game. And we didn't. And then instead it was shorthanded, and we were kind of screwed. So, it is what it is. 5-3. I'll take one. I was hoping to get at least a point in out of it, and it's sad that we didn't.
That's the frustrating part. With only less than 5 minutes left, you were in a position to at least get a point. You have the power play in your favor, and even if you didn't score, you still would have had 3 minutes left. You were in good position to get a point. And they find a way to turn the puck over and give them a shorthanded goal to ice the game at home. That left a very bad taste in my mouth. And like I said, they jumped on them early. They were off the night before. They were already in town. Caps, had to travel from Pittsburgh after the overtime game, as Robbie mentioned. No OV, I understand that. So, when they jumped out 3-0, I wasn't worried because it was still early in the first. But they gave her those 3 goals in, 5 minutes and 40 seconds. So it happened very quickly. So I felt like they just jumped on the Caps because they knew the Caps were tired. They were fresh. But as I mentioned, Edmonton can give up the lead. At home, the lead, they're deadly. And it's very hard to come back because that arena up there in Edmonton is a whole different ballgame. But on the road, they get the last change. You can take advantage. If you play your forecheck, get them stuck in a defensive zone, and you can play your game, which is what the Capitals did. And they whittled their way back into it, tied it up. And unfortunately, the unimpressive, even though, like I said, they're still missing a piece, but the unimpressive power play, did worse than not scoring on the power play. They gave up the game-winning goal shorthanded at home. Only other thing worse than that is getting shut out at home. So, yeah, this left a very bad taste in my mouth. But like you said, with all of those obstacles, no OV, no OC, travel, should be back-to-backs, and Edmonton was fresh. I get it. I'm not, not ready to throw the team away, but it was a frustrating loss to not at least get a point to see them come all the way back the way they did. What game is this? I'm actually watching the Phoenix-Chicago game right now on NBA TV. I know you got the Wizards game was on, but
yeah, it's still on. It's pretty horrible. They just lost actually 100-121. Is a game where they were only down 7 at halftime. So we'll have a lot to break down with Champ and the team with that. But just really a frustrating game for sure.
Not too much prettier over here. I'm watching Phoenix and Chicago just come out of halftime. The Phoenix is up by 17 on Chicago, 69-52.
Right. All right. Let me see. I was just trying to bring some. So let's talk about the week ahead real quickly. So some teams don't have any games this week, and some teams have a bunch of makeup games. And these makeup games are actually going to be really tough for the Capitals. The Columbus game is tomorrow, February 8th at 7 p.m. We don't know if we've got Ovechkin back yet. He hasn't passed his COVID test. But even if he does, he can't fly to Canada, which means he can't go to the Montreal game on Thursday, February 10th at 7. So regardless, I mean, I'm hoping we get him for tomorrow because he's got another day off coming up pretty quick. And he can't even fly and can't cross the border if you've had a positive test within the last couple of weeks. So that's frustrating, right? So it's a bad time to have to go to Canada. And then we'll come back and we'll play Ottawa on Sunday. It's a 12:30 game. That's the one that's on Super Bowl Sunday. So that's the one that they always have.
Well, Sunday Capitals game.
Yeah. So, so that's going to be an interesting one. It's weird because usually it's like Pittsburgh or Philly or some sort of rival. But on this one, It's against the Senators, and it's not even the national televised game. I don't even know if they do that anymore because now it's not NBC, right? But I'd be interested to see if ABC does have a national televised game that day. I don't even know.
This is
But
be a tough matchup though, because remember the 2 games this season, the Capitals and came back twice on the Senators, so they're pretty upset, especially at what the Capitals beat them 9 in a row at Capital One, so that's going to be a good game on Super Bowl Sunday.
yeah, let's break down each one of them. I'll talk about the last 5 for each team, and then Carol, you can give your quick thoughts on it. We'll start with the Blue Jackets. They've lost to Florida 8-4 in their last game. Before that, they beat Montreal 6-3. They beat the Rangers 5-3. Lost to Calgary 6-0, and lost to Ottawa, the team we just talked about, 2-1. So that's their last 5 for Columbus. What are your thoughts about them coming to town?
Their record says it all. They're an up and down team. One night they can play, great offense and stellar defense, and some nights they, don't play any defense and put up offense. So it's all about the Capitals, enforcing their game and playing their way and playing tough defense to get them out of their rhythm and get in their rhythm, especially with the power play lacking like it is. They have to start playing better 5-on-5 and getting more scoring 5-on-5 since the power play hasn't been able to give them that boost that they've been looking for.
Right. My dad's saying that all that really matters is how the Caps do in the playoffs, hopefully with everyone healthy. I agree. We haven't gotten to see Mantha Ray. We haven't seen a lot of our players, and it's been tough. We've been basing this team on being, missing a third of their top, forwards throughout the season. And it's really hard to really have a sense of how that power play is going to look, how the second power play team is going to look, how does the penalty kill look with a full regimen. And we had a lot of young players that have had to come up and down throughout the season.
So the same thing happened with the Nationals when they had a quality team, but the injury bug hit them at the wrong time. And next thing you know, they missed the playoffs. And with this tough Metro division, and the way the Rangers are playing unexpectedly well, that was definitely not on my radar this year. If they don't get their act together, they're going to find themselves out of playoff position. It's going to be hard to climb out of it. And like you said, this stretch right here is an unexpected stretch because this was supposed to be the Olympic break. So now they had to, change their whole mindset. And like you say, without Ovi, without Oshie, and all of the pieces, and you still have young players that's trying to find their way and find their chemistry in the lineup and learning how to be an NHL player. So there's a lot of intangibles working against the Capitals with this stretch. So if they keep on this, not going to say downward spiral, but this inconsistent spiral, they might find themselves looking on the outside looking in.
Yeah, that's for sure. I was just thinking about that. They probably didn't have a Super Bowl Sunday, planned because they were supposed to be away on their break,
Yeah.
So I'm looking right now. There's no nationally televised game because they weren't planning to play any of these games on this day, I think. So, so that'll be interesting for sure to see going forward. Let's talk about the next game, which is the Canadiens. They lost to Edmonton in their last game, 5-3. Then they had beaten Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh 4-3. Before that, they had won in Dallas 5-0. Oh wait, no, that's ours. That's why I'm like, what is? No, they've lost 5 in a row to wow. They lost to the Blue Jackets, the Oilers, the Ducks, the Wild, and the Avalanche. And
all quality teams though.
yeah, the only one that was close was the Ducks, which was 5-4. It was a 6-3, a 7-2, an 8-2, and I guess a 3-2 to Colorado. At Colorado is actually not that bad, but yeah, so they're clearly needing a win badly, which is always a dangerous team to play. It's always tough to play at Montreal, and it sucks because it's one of Ovechkin's absolute favorite places to play in the NHL. He said it many times, and so it's frustrating for sure.
Fuel him when he gets back.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on playing the Canadiens?
I'm looking at the goalie that's starting against the Capitals, and I see why they lost 5 in a row. They did. He's 2-8-4 with a 4.1 goals against average with a 891 save percentage. So the name of this game is get some pucks on him, get the puck to the net as much as you can, because this dude is as leaky as a rusty faucet, looks like. So I say, just shoot some more and get some traffic in front of him, because giving up 4 goals a game. Yeah, they definitely should win this game, even though it's on the road in Montreal. This should be a game for them to win this game, no problem.
Yeah, I'm actually, you know what I'm going to do real quickly? I'm going to bring in our guest because the Modfather lives in Canada, so he knows these Canadian teams better than anybody because they don't actually show a lot of American games up there, but they show all the Canadian ones. So I'm going to bring him and have a quick thought on these two games, and then I'll let you have your NFL talk, and we'll get out of here because I really. He's a Boston fan who lives in Canada, I believe, and so I want to get his take on Montreal and on.
If there's a Bad Marchand reference, we're going to have. Let me say
right.
that. Nah, we can't. Just don't bring that dude up, and we'll be cool.
All right, Stuart, are you there? All right, how are you doing today? Oh, I think you're. It's weird. It doesn't display muted, but it's saying that you are muted. Try to like toggle the mic real quick. I don't know. Let me here, try to quit out of it and relog back in. Sometimes it messes it up. So we'll bring him in a second and see if that works. But the other game, I'll get Carol's thoughts on it real quickly, and then I'll get his take on it, is that Super Bowl Sunday matchup. The Senators have they lost to the Islanders 4-1. They beat Edmonton 3-2. They lost to the Ducks 2-1, lost to Carolina 3-2, and beat Buffalo 5-0. What are your thoughts on the Senators?
Like I said, this is going to be another tough battle against Ottawa. The Capitals have beat them twice this year. Both times the Ottawa had a 2 or 3 goal lead, and the Capitals were able to find a way to come back and beat them. They also have, like I said, have a 9-game winning streak over Ottawa at Capital One. So it's definitely going to be a tough game. Ottawa's going to come to play, and if the Capitals aren't playing Capitals hockey, and they give up an early lead to them again, I'm sure Ottawa, isn't going to let the lead slip away. We know the Capitals, got their mojo going and know they can beat this team, but they need to come out, fast, and they need to get the lead in the game because Ottawa's come out both games at Capital One with the lead in the first period, and the Caps had to fight their way back, and they were able to do that, but you can't keep on relying on that game in and game out, especially against this young, hungry team that has some fight and has some offensive skill.
All right, let's see. Stuart, is it working now? No, it's still not. Weird.
Man, I definitely want his take on the Canadian side of things.
Yeah. The border crossing is just not letting the audio come through, It's being checked at the.
They putting the COVID protocol on Zoom.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I just got my second vaccination the other day. I got my card and everything, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
There we go.
Nice.
Oh, that's a weird setting. Okay. It told me to go to. I went to Microsoft Array setting, which I'm thinking, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but okay.
Yeah, who knows? I gotta love Windows. Anyway, but what are your thoughts on the two Canadian teams we're talking about here, in the Canadians and the Senators?
Well, Senators, like you say, I know Ovi loves playing against the Senators, and the funny thing is, you told the story about how he, I thought he was faking it too when Tom Wilson got a freebie to the All-Star game. I thought, Ovi just doesn't want to play in the All-Star game, right? But apparently not, right? Apparently this is real. So that was a good point you brought up. I actually assumed he was going to play in the game. So, yeah, against the Canadians, yeah, Ovi always loves them. And what was the other game you were talking about? I didn't hear what.
It was the Senators.
Oh, okay. I have not watched the Senators much this year, to be honest. Matter of fact, I don't know if I've seen a single game by the Senators this year. I'm looking to see my schedule here. No, haven't seen one yet, but I don't like the Senators.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't. Yeah.
Check them out. Ottawa is a hungry team. They got Kachuk. He's a little over the line sometimes, but he brings that feistiness to the lineup, and they have a lot of offensive skill with those top draft picks that they had over the last few years. And they're a fun team to watch, and they can beat any team on any given night.
Yeah, and Kachuk is, well, he's like his dad. I don't know if he'll be as bad as his dad was in the playoffs, but as far as a player goes during regular season, Kachuk was hard to beat. I mean, we had him here for years, And he was a great player during the season and sucked in the playoffs. It was could be possibly one of the worst NHL players I've ever seen in the playoffs. And his record shows for it. You look at all the teams he played for over the years, they never did anything in the playoffs. And he was their, the star, right? And his son is a lot like him. Here's something I've noticed about his sons. They tend to hold out for contract negotiations, which is something Tkachuk did all his career. He would at the start of the season would start without him, and they'd go 10, 15 games without him a lot of times. So I'm finding it to be very similar that way. But you sure want a Tkachuk in your lineup during the regular season. There's no doubt about it, because they're monster players during the regular season.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to get Carol's quick take on the name change, and then we'll switch gears to talk about the NHL All-Star. We did have a big announcement on
Before we let Stuart go, he mentioned Tom Wilson. I want to get his take and how he feels about Mr. Wilson.
Okay. Well.
Players like that, you love to have them on your team, don't you? When they're playing for the Washington Capitals, you two are excited to no end. Then when I'm watching them, I'm going, oh, frick, I'd love someone to take your head off in the middle of it. But honestly, he is a good player. He is definitely a good enough player that and I don't mind players like that too much. I kind of like the Capitals anyway, so I'm not total enemies with you guys. But the reality is, watching him play, you just go, oh my God, the guy's an asshole. He says, can I say that on here? Yeah, I guess I can.
Sure. Internet radio. It's great.
Yeah, but but oh my God, if you're watching the Capitals and you want him to win, you want a Tom Wilson on your team. There's no doubt about it.
Right. It's very much like a Brad Marchand. It's like how much we hate him. Yeah. It's very similar.
No, we don't hate him.
But I find ironic is he calls Tom Wilson an asshole. He has, if not the biggest asshole in the NHL on his team, Brad Marchand.
Well, you see, I don't see him that way, though. I see him as a pure honest guy.
He licks people. How could he be a pure honest guy that licks people?
That is disturbing. But you know what I'm saying, though? When you've got that player on your team, you're happy as hell. But oh my God, when you're playing against that guy, oh Lordy.
I mean, he got booed at an all-star game. And I've heard that before with some players, like the obviously players on the rival team. And yes, yep. I guess that we did break the Knight's heart, but I mean, they shouldn't have won it all the first year. That's bullshit anyway. But anyway, that's here nor there. But
Tom Wilson, folks really hate that guy.
And everyone does. It seems to be like universal on
Oh yeah. I couldn't believe how much they booed him though. But again, I kind of like the Capitals, so I don't mind them, but if I guess Las Vegas hates the Capitals, and so yeah, they're going to boo them for sure, but they really booed them. I haven't heard that since the 80s, back when they did the All-Star game completely different, and there was all kinds of nasty players out there, right? So
yeah. Someone asked is licking is licking a 5-minute major. I like that comment. It should be. I don't think it was in the game, though. It should be a misconduct. That's ridiculous.
I remember he got fined, but I don't think they did anything in the game.
Yeah. But, all right. Real quickly, Carol, I do want to get your take on the Commanders. That is our new name. We know that I did not like that name last week. We're going into it. Dugenet tried to say that it was
before
a
you
fake
say
out.
Anything, though, yeah. Before you say anything, I just want to say I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, go on.
All right. I think this is my goodbye to the show tonight. I'm gonna end on this note, but I have several thoughts on this, and some folks might get offended, but at this point, I don't give a damn. First of all, the name Commanders. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Honestly, I don't care. All I care about is this off season, with us having $40 million under the cap. Brandon Sheriff's probably going to be gone, so that's another $18 million under the cap. Landon Collins, if he doesn't take a pay cut, that's another $17 million under the cap. So we're looking at almost $60 million under the cap, and we're looking for a quarterback. And there's already talk of Russell Wilson is on their radar and is open to coming here. So all of you fans that's upset about the name change, I made this comment and I put this post out the day the name came out. You all said if the name was Commanders, you were going to leave. You were no longer going to be a fan of the franchise. So my first question is, why are you still here? If you don't want to be a part of it, if we have the worst owner in the league and it's the Daniel Snyder curse and they can't do nothing right and they even screwed up the name, they even leaked the name and couldn't even keep that secret, Why are you here? There's a team up the road, 30 miles, Super Bowl consideration every year. Great GM, great front office. Why are you here? Because you're the gloom and doom fans. That's your new hashtag. So all the crap you talk, all the trolling I've done this week, and yes, I will be doing more for all of you folks that said that you were leaving. And every time you post something about my team, I'm going to come on there and say, are you staying or are you going? Why are you posting about my team if this is no longer your team? Because I want you to admit that it's nothing they can do that's going to make you happy. They can go 17-0, shut out every team and score 500 points. You're still not going to be happy. So we don't want you no more. Go somewhere. I'm tired of seeing the post on social media. I'm tired of hearing you whine. I'm tired of you chiming in on my Facebook Live whining about stuff. We win a game by 20 points and you're complaining we should have won by more. I don't want to hear it. You don't like the team, you don't like the owner, you don't like the franchise that can't do nothing right. Why are you still here? Because you're an abused spouse. What do they say? Get out the relationship. But you keep coming back. You keep coming back. So that means one thing, either you like it or you just like complaining. You cannot confuse the last 2 years and what's going on now with the last 30 years. I know it's hard. I know it's frustrating being a Washington fan. I'm a diehard fan, but I'm also a realist and I'm also an ex-coach and I understand football. And yes, some teams can make that jump in 2 or 3 years but they're not like this team. We have a crazy history. We have a crazy setup of what was going on here. But you cannot continue to focus on the past. This is a new name, new brand, same franchise. So let's make a clean break of all the negativity and all the BS from before. New team is no longer the Redskins. It's no longer the Washington football team. It's the Washington Commanders. So put that negative mindset and all that negative garbage that you hear on the mainstream radio stations that blow that smoke up your butt and get you all fired up, that they want that clickbait and want you to, get upset. We're going to school you in knowledge and insight. The trademarking, I know I've seen y'all complaining about the name also, San Antonio Commanders, AFL team. First of all, that league doesn't exist anymore. Second of all, other teams, the Red Wolves, whatever, Red Hawks, the other teams have to be willing to negotiate to allow you to use that brand. If they don't want to negotiate, they don't have to. That's why they spent the last 2 years in court. So all of these posts about, oh, wow, well, the Commanders is somebody else. That team doesn't even exist anymore because the AFL doesn't exist. So my parting shot is the new season, new regime. We got a good foundation. They headed in the right direction. Leave all of that other negative stuff back in 2021, 2022 season. Start the next season, new team, new name, and hopefully a new quality quarterback leading this team in the right direction. And after that, I'm done, Robbie.
Nice. I'm putting on screen for people that are watching a graphic that I did. And my favorite thing that I found out about this was when they announced that it was going to be the Commanders. I thought of Cobra Commander. And so people are watching on the Twitch feed. They saw that I made a Washington football team Cobra Commander, and I posted it online. And this is what I love about the internet. Like maybe we'll have a couple of people tune in tonight from Facebook, but I posted this online. Over 3,000 people reacted and saw it online and thought it was hilarious or didn't understand it. They didn't get G.I. Joe. It's a pretty funny imagery, and it'll take some time for people to get used to it. For me, this was my way of like photoshopping out my frustration and just being able to be okay with it, making a joke with it. And suddenly after I did that, I was much happier overall with the decision, and I'll slowly get behind it, right? I mean, I've been a fan of this team for a very long time. I was born during a Washington football team game. I guess it's a Commanders game. I'll still say I was born during a Redskins game because that's technically what it was. But going forward, we'll call them the Commanders just like we call them the Washington football team. And if people need to either get behind it or they need to move on, and it's not the best name, but unfortunately, people trademarked the best names and they couldn't get them. And there was too many issues with the Timberwolves, and there was too many issues, with the Warriors, and we didn't want to go down that route. So this was a name that they could get and they could have, and we could, grow with. And what do you think, Carol? Do you think we can sing "Hail to the Commanders" Would you be okay with that? Or do you think we need to do a completely new fight song?
It doesn't have to say any new fight song. It doesn't have the same ring to it. They can say a new franchise name, going forward, they need to come with a new song. I saw some folks say if they come up with a new fight song, it has to be a go-go song. So I
like it. I can get behind that. That's awesome. I want to give a quick couple shout outs here. We've got a lot of people on our Twitch stream. We have already 35 people in here. We got a double raid, Carol, which you don't watch Twitch as much, but that means 2 people raided at the same time. So a shout out to the daughter of our guest right here, Stuart. She is a phenomenal music streamer. I'm going to do the Modfather command here, and you can learn a little bit more about her. So definitely go check out Jillian. And I also want to thank our guest who's going to be coming on in a little bit, Davey the Sandwich Guy. Davey Eats a Sandwich. It's a show where they talk about all sorts of stuff. I've been a guest of it, and I highly recommend people coming through to there. But they just did a great show, and they came across, and they're going to be talking Olympics with us in just a few minutes. But I'm excited for both groups to be joining us tonight. I hope that they enjoy. We're going to talk a little NHL. We went a little bit long on our NHL segment. We're going to do a speed read of some of the different events of that when we let Carol go here. But Carol, thank you so much for joining us. If people who want to check us out more, they can check us out on sportsothp.com's Facebook page, or join me on Twitch, twitch.tv/RobbieG_SportsOTHP. But Carol, thank you as always for helping us break down the hockey talk and some football talk. And we'll definitely talk to you next week.
All right, man. Appreciate it. I'm going to take the rest of the night off, let you guys have Olympics coverage in basketball. I'm going to have a couple of more adult beverages and get some things together in my life. If you're still on my feed, I'm about to play some videos at the end. I'm about to drop off of this feed, and check you next week. And make sure you check out At the Bar Radio every Sunday around 6:00, streaming live, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of them. All right, Robbie, have a good rest of the show, man.
Sounds good. All right, Carol, have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. We'll definitely next week have him back on for Super Bowl talk. We'll recap the all-important Super Bowl matchup. Let me see real quickly if I can do this correctly. I'm going to do a share screen. Give me 1 second. But all right, here we go. And all right, we're going to start off with the All-Star competition. And I'm going to do a quick little screen share here. And I click this button, and then I click. It's hard when you're streaming to 2 platforms at once, Stuart. So got it. All right, there we go. We figured it out. All right, so the All-Star skills competition was interesting. We'll go through each one real fast, the results, and I'll get your quick take on each one. And if anybody in chat had any thoughts on it, if anyone checks out the NHL All-Star game, I'll read some of their comments as well. We'll try to get through it quickly because I know people want to get into the Olympics talk with Davey in just a few minutes. All right, the first one is the fastest skater. St. Louis Blue, Jordan, is it Kyrou won it with 13.5 seconds. Our friend, if you're a Capitals fan, Kuznetsov participated in this event, and he very much half-assed it and didn't do very well. And then my favorite part was he celebrated as if he won it at the very end, which I think is hilarious. And
he came dead last.
I know. It's very Ovechkin-esque in celebration. What were your thoughts on the fastest skater competition?
You know what? Easily my favorite part of the competition is always the fastest skater. I love watching somebody that can really boogie on ice. The thing this year, and it was odd to watch. If you watch all the guys that skated, not one of them looks smooth out there except Kyrou. Kyrou is probably not the fastest. He's probably even not top 3 there, but he looks smooth. His turns were good. Everything was good. And everyone else looked like choppy and making, bad turns, bad mistakes. And I was just watching this going, oh, you're just not going to win. You're just not going to win. So Makar and McDavid were the last 2, and I thought they were probably the 2 faster guys there. They both looked terrible going around there. McDavid wasn't that far behind, but he looked terrible the entire time. So it all came down to who skated the smoothest.
Yeah, I'm curious if this actually plays. So
yeah, it is playing it.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So you can kind of see right here. Here we can show you just how fast he was. See if that plays through. People who are watching on Twitch, let me know. I'm keeping the sound off because I don't want to get dinged. But you can sort of see some of the skaters in action there. So we got the longest save streak. The Toronto Maple Leafs and Tampa Bay goalie had a save streak of 9 in that. I'm going to play this muted in the background while you give your assessment of that.
The save streak is kind of boring in my mind. Like the players going half speed, and it just it's a thing that's just weird. And the goalies hate the all-star skills competition for a lot of reasons, because it's not really weighted good for them, right? So I don't like this part of the skills competition, because it's just like everybody is kind of putting a half effort in. No one seems to want to go all out on it. So
yeah, for sure. I think it's a weird competition. I liked it better back in the day, kind of,
Vasilevsky still looks 14 years old to me. I can't get over that fact that he's old enough to play in the NHL.
I liked it when it was team based, when they were able to you basically either stop them or you don't, and you get points towards a team total, which was kind of how they used to do it in the NHL versus doing this kind of event. But it is what it is. I understand they're trying to keep every event kind of more separate now and not have it be like a cumulative score, if you will.
Well, I think they designed that particular skill to make the goalies get a little bit more time and shine, right? Because honestly, the All-Star weekend is really an anti-goalie thing, and this thing isn't any better, because a save streak. Well, I don't know. Like I said, it looks like people are going half speed, and the goalies don't want to look like tryhards, So it just seems like a half speed competition to me.
Try to explain this event to me. I don't really understand why we did it, but it is a new event. It is hold on. Oh,
it was weird. Wasn't it weird?
How does it? Oh no! Now they're giving me ads. So basically they shot from. Oh, I hate you, Sportsnet. You're ruining this. Anyway, I was like, they're so good. But anyway, basically they try to explain this event to me. I don't really understand what they were doing.
The whole idea is you got to get the puck to land on islands. They put them in the Bellagio pool, right, with all the fountains and all this stuff. It is world famous. Everybody knows the Bellagio, right? Oh, by the way, C-Dub is watching. I have to do a quick C-Dub plug here. There you go, C-Dub.
Nice.
Anyways, so so the whole idea is they got to get the puck to land on these 4 different islands. There's 2 big islands that are far away, and 2 close islands that are small, and there's a net. So there's basically five targets. You got to put a puck into the net, and you got to land on 3 of the islands, right? And it's all about the saucer pass, right? And the whole idea is that the saucer pass is a great thing when you're on ice. It's a really hard thing to do on a practice surface like they were doing it on. So it was kind of just a weird competition. The girl Jocelyn Lamoureux from Team USA. Oh my God, did she do well? I was so hoping for her to do to be in the final, but didn't quite make the final. But oh my God, she did good. But anyways, it was a strange competition to watch. It was just yeah.
How was she in it if she wasn't part of Team USA? Was she? They didn't. She's
a former Team USA player.
Former
right?
Team USA. Got it.
Yeah,
got it. That makes sense.
So obviously she's not playing this Olympics. I haven't seen the USA team play, so I don't think she's on it this year. But
yeah, I don't think she was either.
Yeah, she did really good. And like I say, it was hard to watch because it was a little strange. It wasn't easy for anyone to do, and but they were on the Bellagio. They were out in this island in the Bellagio shooting pucks. So I guess that was the whole idea. Las Vegas was putting the Bellagio out there, right?
Right. That makes sense. All right. Going on to the next event is the hardest shot, which is this going to play, or is this also going to give me an ad? Okay. That one played. All right. So you can see here, it was an interesting matchup. Our friend Tom Wilson, who we were just talking about, was able to be in this event. That he got booed right there, but he still got booed. Yeah. And some good shots. These aren't necessarily the 4 I would have expected to be in this event. But I was happy with the results.
Nobody predicted at all that any of these guys would get over 100 miles an hour. As a matter of fact, everybody predicted these guys would all be under 100, and the winner would be 90 something miles an hour. The fact that all 4 of these guys went over 100, the top 4, is pretty impressive. And not only that, there's some decent hard shots. This is another competition I like. I like the speed one the most, but this is one I like because it's just pure hockey. You know, it's like, yeah, every once in a while you want to blast a hard slap shot, right? Well, you know, these guys can do it and they do it very well. Like 100-mile-an-hour slap shot is insane fast. So
yeah, for sure. It's really interesting. Tom Wilson was only like, I think 1 mile per hour slower than Ovi, who won it a couple of years back for his time. So just to give you people a sense that, you know, often the winner is right around 101, 102. Victor Hedman's 103 was very impressive. Zdeno Chara, I believe, has the record. He has had some incredible shots in this competition in the past.
I want to say it was 106, I think, is the record.
Yeah, 106 or 107, something right around there.
Right.
So,
they said, but
yeah, so he's been good. It was crazy. The Capitals have put 3 different players into this competition over the last 5 years, and 2 of them won it. Ovechkin won it, and John Carlson won it. I think John Carlson was, I want to say 104 or something really incredible at that, which is why we have him at the point, right? You know, because he's got that booming slap shot, which makes some sense. So that was really cool. And then this is the breakaway challenge. Of course, this is going to make me go through it and add again. But anyway, we'll let that play out. What are your thoughts on the breakaway challenge?
Breakaway challenge was all about fun, right? It was, you know, it's a fun thing to watch or whatever, right? The one thing though, that Trevor Zegras from Anaheim, oh my God, that goal, that the blindfold, everything. I know he had a blindfold that could kind of see through a little bit, so that takes away from it, you know, from the purity of it. But the reality is, he made it such a move and scored. It was quite impressive actually. So, but it was fun. You know what? I kind of like this part of it because it was just like relaxed. It was fun. You know, guys dressing up in costumes and doing funny things and all that, and everyone doing something, you know, really peculiar.
Right. It's so funny, that last one. Everyone's like, why isn't he playing for the Capitals if his favorite player is Ovechkin and he wants to mimic him? So, but I'm sure the Wild don't want to give him up. I mean, he's been playing phenomenal for them. So.
Yeah, here's the Alex Zegras goal right now.
Yeah, that is pretty incredible. I don't know how you even do that, but it's pretty cool stuff. So, yes, that was a fun competition. And
the two goalies were obviously trying to let them score a little bit, but you know, they weren't going full out. But still, it was kind of fun to watch. You know, you got to take it with a grain of salt. It wasn't a serious competition, but it was really cool.
Right. So here's, I like this too. So there's some fun moments for sure. I just wanted to let people see some of it because a lot of people didn't tune into the All-Star games. A lot of people, it's probably their first view of some of these things. But for timing, we're going to move on. And so High Roller in Vegas 20. I don't even know what this is. This
was just stupid. It was just stupid. Wasn't it just stupid? Did you watch it?
I didn't see this one. So
it had the stupidest rules. It was you know, they're trying to get 21. A few guys got 21, and then they had to shoot at cards. And I don't even know what the rules were at the end of it all. You know, how one guy shot a queen, the other guy had to shoot a queen after. I'm going, how does this make any sense? It was just weird rules. I didn't get it, and it was just weird.
Yeah. Oh, now we got I hate you, Bacardi. You can't turn off the mute. Anyway, we're just going to go through it. Quick shot. So this was an accuracy where they just try to shoot into the different corners. And Sebastian Aho won it for the Carolina Hurricanes. And that one. Any quick thoughts on this event?
It was kind of neat because it's not often the players hit all 4. I don't know why. You think in the NHL they would hit all 4 a lot. But when you actually try it on the ice, and I've tried it before many times because I'm a Canadian, right? But it's a lot harder than you think to hit those 4 spots, right? So when we do it, we always have these coverings over the net, and they have smaller holes, right? They're only, you know, this big, whereas they got this big in the NHL ones. It's hard to hit 4 in a row, but nonetheless, I'm always surprised how rare it is for someone to hit 4 in a row. But they're trying to do it fast, right? So, but Aho did all 4. He hit 4 in a row. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And I think that was it. So let's get over.
The only other thought I had for the skills competition, Austin Matthews has the worst mustache in the NHL.
Yes, I hate that. We were just talking
that off.
Yeah, it's pretty horrendous. Let's talk about this, the All-Star game. Claude Giroux played phenomenal, I thought. I thought the Metropolitan played really well in this. I like the format. It's basically, people don't know, two teams play against each other in the first round. And then for the second period, the other two divisions play each other, and the winner of those two play for the third period kind of thing. Each period is split into 2 10-minute halves, if you will, where that way you get each goalie in. And it's always exciting. And it's weird. The Metropolitan and the Pacific have done very well comparatively to the other two divisions overall. Now the Metropolitan has won 3 and the Pacific has won 3 in this. I was really excited. Tom Wilson gets an awful lot of shit for not, he's just thought of as a goon, and we've talked about him a little bit earlier, but he scored 13 seconds into this game. Fastest to ever start an all-star game in this format. And so it shows how incredible his hands really are, which I've been saying on this show for 6 years now, that he's underrated in his skills. I mean, there's a reason why he plays the top line. It's not just because he hits people. I mean, you don't waste a spot on your top line just because the guy hits people, right? So you need to have some skill.
He's almost at the point where I'd consider him to be about as good as the Marchand.
Yeah. Indeed. It's fair. It's fair. So I was really happy that the Metro played. I thought Jari played really well for the Penguins. It's weird that he was the representative. You don't have a Malkin. You don't have a Sidney Crosby. I can't even remember an all-star game that didn't have one of them in it. So that was kind of exciting. I thought Jack for the New Jersey Devils, Jack Hughes, he incredible. I mean, he's so young. He's 20 years old in Vegas, can't even drink. But he put, I think, 3 goals and assists out there. So, really well played. Kuzi in the second game was the first goal scorer. So it's kind of funny. The Capitals, 2 players each were the first goal scorers in that, and they held on to win that and get to split $1 million. I really like this tournament. I know some people do, some people don't. What are your thoughts on it?
My only, it's a weird thought, but when you watch players like this level and you put them into a situation like this, they don't want to go all out. They don't want to be the try hard, right? And so you kind of get this half effort unless they get a breakaway. Then they're flying, right? And so I feel so sorry for the goalies in this, because this whole format is not about goalies. The only defensemen you see in this format are goal scoring defensemen or point getting defensemen, because that's the kind of guys that get voted in, right? You don't see a defensive defenseman ever in the game. So you get this. It's kind of nobody wants to be a try hard, but so they're not trying hard on defense, and for sure they're not trying on defense because these are all offensive players, right? So you get a lot of breakaways. You get a lot of I watch the goalies suffer, and I just go, they must just hate this. They'd rather stick a fake goalie in net than themselves, I'm sure. But it's fun to watch because there's some serious skill out there, and you do see some cool things. But it's I don't know. I've always, like I said to you, I don't normally watch the actual game. I'll watch the skills competition, but I don't normally watch the games. But I actually watched it. It was a little bit entertained this year, so it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, it's I enjoyed it. The skills competition was hit and miss for me. I tried to watch it. I was watching 2 kids at the same time. So I caught moments of it. I didn't. I appreciate you helping me break it down. I think I would have been a little more excited if my players did a little better in them. It's one of those things you're kind of find yourself rooting for your players, but I enjoy seeing other players in the league. And it's just kind of this, fun little thing that the NHL does. I enjoy it much more than I like any of the others. I didn't even watch the NFL All-Star, they call it the Pro Bowl. I didn't,
I'm not a fan of that either. For some reason, I'm just not an All-Star fan. It just doesn't seem to work out as well as I'd like it to, You think of all these great players there, you think, oh, this would be great. It never really is. It's just
the problem is defense, right? So for me, a sport like hockey, the goalies can still steal the show. The defense can still make some plays, right? Where in the NBA, you kind of take a step back and let people do crazy dunks. So it's just these crazy inflated scores. It's who can score more. I liked last year's format for the NBA where they had to set to a certain score limit and play to that just to make it a little interesting and a little bit different. I also like
They've tried things in the past in the NHL too. I remember Glenn Sather got them to change the format so they could, they were given a certain number of players that were all-stars, and then they got to fill the team with whatever players they wanted. Well, then Glenn Sather was picking defensive defensemen, right? And his team like slaughtered the other team because the other guy was picking all these all-stars, right? And then you start to realize how important a defensive defenseman is, right? And then you have goalies that aren't just sitting there going whatever and just stepping aside when someone goes to take a slap shot and going, yeah, hit the net if you can, right? So yeah, it's
hockey's more exciting because in football, like two-hand touch is not exciting. Like I know that the AFC was up huge, and I almost I kind of did turn it off, and then the NFC stormed back because again, there's no defense, and like it's like whatever. So for me, of all the sports, the hockey is the most exciting. But I think almost all, and I like the 3-on-3 tournament just because it's a little bit different. You get to see the overtime rules, and if they're not going to play defense anyways, like why not even just not have defensive players on the team? So like
exactly.
So that makes some sense. But anyway, I'm going to bring in our next guest. And we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk some Olympics.
One more quick thing. Fozia sang the "O Canada" at the All-Star game. She was the one that sang "O Canada." I think that was at the actual game. Yeah, and so she's from Winnipeg. Jillian's met her. They've talked before, and she's an up-and-coming star in the music industry. And then they had Blanco Brown do the U.S. anthem, and he sang it great. But he gets to the end, he did this weird scream at the end that I can't get out of my head ever since it happened.
I missed that. So that's a good call out.
Fozia, like I said, from Winnipeg, from my hometown here, and my daughter's met her and they've talked, and my daughter actually has a picture with her that she has. So it's that's kind of neat to see her singing that. So anyways, bring in Davey.
Yeah. All right, Davey, come on in and we'll talk a little bit of Olympics, and I'll first of all, Davey, thank you for the raid and joining us and bringing all your friends over. And I was able to catch a bit of your stream earlier, and I'm excited for the together wherever. I don't even know how many instances of this have there been. Is there a certain number we're at? Do we know?
Well, they're number 10 now. 10. This is 10. Coming up. Wow. Yeah, 10 coming up. Nice to meet you, everybody. Thank you very much for bringing me in to join you all for some Olympic talk. It's so nice to see you all here.
We get to see Modfather in living color, right?
I love it. Yeah, looking dapper, Modfather. I like it.
C-Dub shirts. We need Modfather emotes in the chat now, guys. Well, there is a lot already.
Yes, all over the bunch. We're spamming those Modfather emotes. 100%.
Sure.
If you're watching on Facebook, you probably have no idea what's going on, but
exactly.
Twitch has a great platform where it has a great chat engine, and we can do like smileys in there that we call them emotes over on Twitch. So.
Right.
But fellas, Olympics talk. I mean, off to a flying start, am I right?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly wish that I had been able to capture more of this. It's hard with having two little ones. And so one of the things that I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to let you guys kind of steal the show a little bit and talk about some of your guys' favorite events. And the first thing I'm going to bring up is just the medal count. We'll talk about that. And then we'll get into some of your favorite events, go back and forth between the two of you, and we'll talk about them. And if anyone in chat has any thoughts about those events, I'll bring those up as well. Let me bring up the medal count. Am I happy to accept cookies? Sure.
I'm always happy to accept cookies.
Exactly. It's so true. Depends on how you value. We've had this debate before with Davey on who's winning the Olympics after the first week or so. Not even a full week. Right now, China is winning because they have more gold medals than anybody else, right? But some people think total medals should be into consideration. And so I will show you in the total ones. I believe it's the people that are not Russia, but Russia. So they have 7 total thing. But if you look at their Canada's right there with 6 total, the United States is all the way down here with 3. So we haven't had a great start so far. I'll just get a general thought about the gold, silver, bronze, and total medal count from each one of you, and then we'll get into some of your favorite events. I'll start off with you, Davey. What are your thoughts on the early totals that we see coming in?
What a weekend for Canada, right? Like they just had some great wins in the in a lot of events. I mean, snowboarding, for example, and then I think some other events too. They took down some. I think they had like 2 medals in one of the events. It's really great. Yeah, you mentioned U.S. being down. Yeah, I believe it. I mean, everything I saw, U.S. was just getting their butt kicked and like everything. Curling, it's funny because like there've been some years where mixed U.S. pairs would make it pretty far in curling. This is not that year. They were not in it at all. I mean, they were in Australia bad, but they were bad. They were not. They did not have much of a say in the round robin at all. And then I was gonna get to this when we got to skiing, but Michaela Schiffer was like the biggest name in skiing, at least for us here in the U.S. She wiped out on her event. Like she fell 11 seconds into the thing, and it's like, well, there goes like their best hope in the U.S. to get a gold medal, like in skiing. Like that would have been the first. That would have been the first American to get 3 gold medals in skiing, and it was. And then she just got. I mean, she ate it like on the 4th turn. I don't. Did you all see that one? Did you all see that?
This is something that happens in a lot of Olympics, though. Alpine skiing always has a problem. There's always a problem, and people wipe out, and it's weird at the Olympics how bad it is all the time. And this year is no exception. It's horrible. There's bad wipeouts in the men's and the women's, and they're out. They're gone. You wipe out, you're done. So
yeah. I don't think the Winter Olympics are really the event or really the Americans kind of event. I mean, meaning to say that I think the dominance is more in the Summer Games. I tend to notice that they're not quite as dominant in the Winter Olympics. Robbie, I don't know what your memory of it is, but you talk about hockey, you talk about
the Americans used to be better. They were better long ago, but it seems the last 4 Olympics or so, they just kind of seem to not perform as well as they used to.
Oh yeah,
in the winter for sure. In the summer, they still
in the winter absolutely.
Yeah. They still are able to.
It used to be better. Figure skating, for example, like they were much better at figure skating, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right, let's get into some of the different events that we wanted to talk about, and then I can pull stuff up. So the first one that we want to talk about with Stuart is the Canadian women's hockey, and we can talk about the U.S. ones as well. The games that I saw with the U.S. women, they looked pretty good, and I think that they're kind of on a collision course to probably play each other again. Stuart, from the Canadian side, what are your thoughts on hockey so far?
Well, they're playing each other in an hour, so that's they will be in the final together. Canadian women's hockey in general has been 2 teams, for the last 20 years. It was all Canada before that. In the last 20 years, it's Canada and the States. Canada's won 4 of the last 5 Olympics, but the States have beat them more in World Championships. So it seems like the States are always good between Olympics, and then Canada comes into the Olympics and kicks their butt, right? So, well, not kicks their butt; they're all close games. Canada's on kind of a win streak against the Americans right now. They won 6 of the last 8 times they played against each other. So that'll be the final. There's no doubt about it. The Canadian women's jerseys, the red jerseys with the black maple leaves, could be the ugliest jerseys I've ever seen. IIHF reffing still sucks. Every time I watch it, I'm still baffled how bad it could be. And something interesting happened to both Canadian and the American teams. Their number 1 players, both of them, got taken out. The U.S. team their best player is I believe her name is Brianna Decker. Yeah, that's it. And she got taken out by what you have to consider a dirty hit. The double IHF ref was standing right there watching it, and no penalty call whatsoever. I'm not so sure the Sluka was on purpose. I've watched the replay like a dozen times to try and tell. I can't tell you. But Brianna's gone for the Olympics because her leg was broken. And so they've lost their best player. The Canadians lost Daou, their best player, from a dirty hit in the first game too. And these are games that happened last week before the Olympics started. They were the first games were done before the official start of the Olympics, right? So we both lost our best players. The Canadian girl might be back, but the American is gone. So, it's it was, the dirty hit on Brianna Decker is the one that bothers me. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure the slew foot is, a real slew foot, but it looked bad to me.
Yeah, for sure. I hate the Olympics website. I think it's one of the worst created websites in existence. So that's going to be every year. It's so bad, and I don't understand why. I grabbed the wrong graphic. I was going to grab an Olympics graphic, but anyway, let me click that off. But anyway, we're just going to go full screen. We're just going to chat because I really hate this. I've been trying to navigate it over here on the side, but anyway,
you're struggling. Yeah, just talk.
it's just so bad. Anyway, I'm so frustrated because I actually knew somebody that was on the U.S. Olympic team, and I was hoping that she would make it again this year, Haley Skrupa, and she's been a phenomenal friend of the show. She's come on, and she was great to us. She helped us break down the big run to the Stanley Cup. She was on a lot of our playoff games for that, and then she came back and talked about what it was like to be a part of the parade and all of that. So I was hoping that she would make it again, just because she's a Rockville native, which is my hometown, and it's just rare for us to have Olympians. And it's cool. There's a picture online. I don't have it on me right now of me getting to hold that gold medal, which is the only gold medal I've ever gotten to hold. So hopefully they're able to find a way. But I think it's going to be a tough matchup tonight for sure. But I think you're right, Stuart, in that they're probably going to play each other regardless.
Yeah, it'll be those two teams. An interesting connection too. One of the girls on the Canadian team was Jillian's AAA coach when she was playing hockey. So a girl that plays defense, Jocelyn the Rock, is actually Jillian's old coach. I actually hired her to be the coach of that team. So I hired her sister actually, and then they came as a package.
That's cool.
That's really cool. That's really fun. All right, I'm going to go back and forth. So I'm going to get Davey have the next one. I know curling is a really popular sport. I know that Carol watches it. I know a lot of people that watch my podcast watch curling. Can you give a curling update to our fans?
Well, it's all about Italy right now. I mean, they are just dominating the tournament. They haven't lost a single game, whether in round robin or in an elimination play. So the way it works is that you have your round robin, then you go straight to the semis. There's no quarterfinal round. But Italy has just absolutely trashed everybody. And so we're up to a gold medal game between Italy and Norway. And that's coming up. I think if you really want to watch it, it starts at 7 o'clock Eastern, if you can find it on whatever channel it's on, Peacock or whatever. It's stunning. And Stefania Constantini is really the star of the show with that Italy mixed pair. She has had some insane shots. They can just knock out like 3 stones out of the targets. And it's I don't know if they're called targets, but you know that the circles that you kind of throw them at to score. And then I mean, just some sick shots. Like Stuart, you saw this, right? Like, did you see how incredible like the Italian team is doing right now?
Well, the funny part about it is the Canadians, their last game was against the Italians, and the Canadians are like the Americans. They're underperforming like crazy, right? Mm-hmm. And their last game came up against the Italians, and they had to beat Italy to make the playoffs, right? So they had Italy on the ropes. All they had to do was throw a good draw shot for the last shot, and they messed it up so badly. And it was kind of the story of the entire Olympics for them. They're like the Americans. They're just kept messing up. And I'm watching it going, how bad can you be? I could make the shot, and I haven't curled in 30 years. So I could have made the shot better than they did. And yeah, it was just horrible management of an easy shot. So, the Italians deserve what they are. I've watched their games, and oh my God, they're good. They're insanely good.
Yeah. It's going to be a really tall task for Norway to beat them. We'll see if they get it done, but it's going to be coming up in about 12 hours, actually. So if you all are... I kind of wish I was on East Coast time. I could probably watch some of that. That would be really fun. But I'm very interested to see the result, because maybe what could happen when you're that good, you might get a little overconfident. You're going to be underestimating with the other team, and we'll see. But... it's been a very, very dominant tournament for Italy so far, and we'll see. So it's been, it's kind of funny that it all happened in 2 days. I'm like, damn, it's almost all over. That's crazy. Yeah. But
I know some of us haven't even started yet, and some are over. Like, it's so crazy how that all works out. SFX Pines says, fun fact: Modfather was a beast at sports, and I've had the pleasure offline of talking about some of his sports stories. That's why I wanted to have him on. And I know that he likes all sorts of different sports, which I think is a unique perspective to give us today.
I played everything. I love sports. I was, I went to university as a track athlete, right? So, being a track athlete, when you got that kind of speed, they want you in every sport, right? So I played a whole bunch of sports, and I love sports. I've always been a big sport addict. Played way too much when I was younger. I played every sport you can imagine.
Well, Jillian and I have that in common. My dad was a track athlete as well. And actually, at one point was recruited by a bunch of different schools to do some hurdles and stuff like that, and was able to do, I think, the Penn Relays at one point. I don't know if he's still watching right now, but
that's a big meet.
Yeah. So I used to go to the Penn Relays every year when I went to the University of Pennsylvania. I love track and field. I think it's a really cool sport that isn't often talked about enough. And we'll have to definitely talk about that when the Summer Olympics come back around. But it's, I think it's so cool to see all the world athletes compete in all these different sports. There's so many different things to talk about. We're going to move on from curling down to cross country skiing. So Stuart, what are some of your thoughts on what has happened so far in the Olympics with that?
I watched cross country skiing with, I don't know, it was a bit of fear because I hate watching the people that win. I absolutely hate it. Teresa Johag won the first gold medal of the Olympics, right? And cross country skier, Norwegian. Last time at the Beijing not at Beijing, at the last Olympics, whatever, she was serving an 18-month doping ban. I have a problem with that part of the Olympics because cross country skiing is so bad for doping. It is one of the worst sports. It's almost as bad as track and field, and I'd say it's worse than track and field. Maybe not quite as bad as road racing bike racers. They all are horribly bad for doping. And this girl got, an 18-month ban for doping. Why is she even allowed to play? And why is she allowed to be in the sport? I hate watching that. And I always watch, cross country skiing and go, it doesn't thrill me for that reason.
Yeah, for sure. Davey, were you able to watch any of the cross country or the more distant stuff?
I was. It was interesting. I was not aware of the doping situation. That sucks. I didn't know about that. Like, you wouldn't think that a distance event would require doping, but so here we are, I guess. I'm like, is it just for stamina purposes, Modfather, or what do you think? Like, I'm curious as to why they would need to dope like that. Usually for strength events or short distances, I get it, but
endurance events like cross country and biking, there's a different style of doping. It's more. Back in the days was adding red blood cells in. It was adding things that can make you last longer, right? It's not as much steroid use. It's the other kinds of doping that they do, and that's really, really prevalent in those sports because of that. Because endurance sports, basically, if you've got the right kind of chemicals in your body, you've got a huge advantage over everybody else.
Okay. Yeah.
Well that makes sense.
Let me get into some of this. So there was a mixed relay biathlon final, which just reminded me of the absurd me trying to wrap my head around the idea that you're skiing for like several kilometers and then you have to take shots at targets for like 10 minutes. I haven't really got my head around that.
I actually love that sport. And there's another sport that's known for doping because they love to take drugs that slow down their heart rates, right? So, And the sad part about sports, and if you've watched it enough over the years and as many decades as I have, you start to realize all they do is improve upon the drugs all the time. They're constantly improving upon the drugs, so they're harder to detect, harder to catch these people using them and all that. So so that sport, there's a lot of doping where they use things that slow down their hearts. Again, I'm not sure if that's still prevalent in that sport, but if you watch these guys, if you talk to one of these guys that competes in this. It's very important they shoot between heartbeats because there's actually a little bit of a jump in their gun, right? So they have to wait till they're between heartbeats. And if their heartbeat is beating too fast, well, it's hard to hit that spot, right? So if you got a slow heartbeat, well, you got time to make that shot, right? So that sport is I'm sorry, I'm being very negative on the doping parts of the sports here, but it's just part of the sport, I guess. So
it is, but it's a fair complaint. Oh yeah. And it's interesting that you can make or break your bid for a medal based on how you shoot, which is wild. It's like you're beating everybody, and then you go up and you're like have to sit on your stomach, and then you have to shoot like this, and then you're like you kind of miss it by like a millimeter, and then it's like, oh, there goes this gold medal chance. That's it. It's over. So, but anyway. With the biathlon,
it is interesting because it can blow a gold medal if you miss a shot. Now you got to do that extra.
I think it happened. Yeah, it absolutely happened. Certainly, maybe not the gold per se, but if at bare minimum you blew a medal, it happened with who was it? Yeah, the guy from Norway lost so much ground, like just missing. He was just whiffing all the targets during all the shooting like the biathlon, but he still won. Because in the final 2 kilometers, he was just gunning, and he was just
Yeah.
taking his his sticks, and he was just like passing everybody. So good for him. Like, I'm glad he still ended up winning that thing.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to a couple other quick events. I know I'm going to go back to Stuart's thoughts on slope style snowboarding. I know snowboarding is a pretty popular one in the United States. What are your thoughts on that event?
Okay, so the women's was really fun to watch. It was a good competition. An American, Julia Marino, laid down this killer run in her second run, right? And it's your best run that counts, right? So it's not a total score thing or anything, but Marino laid down this insane run, got a super high score, and he thought no one's going to catch her. There's not a chance anyone's going to beat her, right? Then they get to the third runs, and a girl by the name of from New Zealand, Zoe Sadowski-Sinot, beat her. And I swear to God, I wanted to scream because my internet died just before she went down the hill, and I wanted to see what she did. I went and found it on later online, but you'd rather watch it live, right? So she did do an insane run, but I thought the American had it won, and the men's snowboarding was slopestyle. Obviously, I thought it was great because we got a gold and a bronze out of the deal, right? But I always wonder why people do this, because this sport, oh my God, you get injuries. They talk about, he's broken his leg, he's broken his back, he's all these, neck injuries, and I cannot believe the number of injuries these guys take. It's insane. You watch these guys; they're going 30 feet, 40 feet in the air and landing, and it's wild to watch, right? And the other thing I hate about watching sports like that is when you're watching, I like to cheer on whoever. I not just Canadians like to cheer on other countries, but whenever there's a Canadian in there and they're in the lead, now I turn into like the guy, the fans in Happy Gilmore when Shooter McGee was out there taking his shots, right? And you're going miss.
You root against Canada?
I don't want people to screw up, but the Canadians in the lead, so it's like miss.
Oh, no, he's rooting against the other ones. Yeah. Which makes sense. I find myself doing that for Team USA too, so I think that's natural.
I do that, but it's natural.
Right, it's your country first mentality. Davey, any thoughts on the snowboarding?
Oh, wasn't that just fun? Like, it was so much fun. Like, I co-sign everything that Modfather said about the women's final. It was an incredible final.
Fun to watch, yeah.
So much fun, yeah. So Marino, as you mentioned, 87 points on that run. Like, it's an insane run. But then, so the lady who won, Zoe Sadowski-Sinot from New Zealand, had an amazing double 1080. And if you don't know what that is, so if you know what a 180 is, this is a 180. A 360 is like this. A 720 would be 2 of them. So a 1080 would be like 4 of those. Like that's just unbelievable. And he did the double version of that. I guess that's just outrageous. The athleticism involved.
Spectacular, yeah.
Yeah. Just
I'll have to go back and watch that one for sure. Yeah.
Well, actually, the men's, there's actually a neat story in the men's too. I forgot to mention the Canadian that won gold. He is a cancer survivor. He did chemotherapy before this, and he literally beat cancer and took a little bit of time off of competing, and then came back and made it to the Olympics and won the gold medal. So kind of a really, really cool story.
It's an unbelievable story. I mean, Max Pearl, right? So he's a 3-time Olympian, and to beat out Hodgkin's lymphoma, to do that just to even be in it is like unbelievable. But to win the gold, I mean, props to Canada. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, the story was great. And the guy that won the bronze he's broken every bone in his body and had to recover several times off of serious injuries and all that. So it was, a couple of neat things to see the guys get medals. And the Canadian that got the bronze has got bronze three Olympics in a row now. So,
wow,
yeah,
that's so cool.
Do you feel bad for? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I know you can go.
I was just going to add, Red Gerard is like the name out here. And my question is, do you feel sorry for Red Gerard for missing out on the medal stand?
I don't know much about Red Gerard.
I don't either, but I just remember him being in commercials. So I'm like, I guess that sucks for him. That's all I had to say about Red Gerard. But
interesting.
He had a bobble during his run. That's why, I kind of blew it there.
I just blew a kiss to the guys on the screen, by the way.
Yeah. Wait, what happened here?
You guys, my wife is blowing a kiss because she's going to bed. So.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Well, have a great night.
Yeah, have a good one.
Great night.
Let's go into some skiing. Is there anything more that you want to talk about that, Davey?
Going into the moguls, some very interesting juice. And let's give it up to Jalen Koff from the women's side. The women's moguls final, a fantastic 80.28 score to clinch silver. I mean, that doesn't sound like, I know that often we're talking about gold or nothing, but that's a great run. You know,
Oh, I hate that attitude. It's like when someone comes fourth in the Olympics and you think, oh, too bad they missed the medals. No, they were fourth in the world. Yeah, it's impressive. But you know what? That medal thing, there's that cutoff point, right? And then even if you get a bronze or a silver, it's like, well, you got a bronze or silver. That's pretty good. But no, it's amazing. But anyway, sorry.
I agree. I mean, and so it's the first medal for the U.S. in the women's moguls final since 2014. So that's really good. That's really good. On the men's side, I think the story was, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like I think, if I was watching this correctly, I think this happened at the end. But Walter Wahlberg from Sweden won the gold with a fast run. And he did a lot of it with speed because he was like flying through this final run to take the gold. And it's a big upset over Mikhail Kingsbury, who was I think a lot of people, especially after he did his run for 82.818 points for Canada, were like, oh, he's going to win. But then, I honestly did not think that after that Wahlberg did his run, that was going to be enough for a gold. I mean, Modfather, I don't know if you saw that too, but
I did not see the moguls at all. I did not watch moguls.
Okay.
I missed all of
wild. That. Okay. So you didn't see it, but yeah. So Robbie, if you're not familiar with moguls, basically, instead of just sliding down a smooth mountain,
I'm a skier, just so you know. But Okay. So you're I do know moguls. Yeah, it's things I try to avoid when I'm skiing is moguls. But it's exciting to watch people bounce back and forth between them. I mean, it's some crazy stuff. I mean, I prefer. I've done some double black diamonds and things like that myself. I haven't skied in 10 years, which is crazy to me. As a kid, I used to do it every single winter. But it's when you marry a Texas girl, she doesn't ski. It makes it more difficult. But someday I'll have my kids learn, and then hopefully she'll learn with them. But I think skiing is phenomenal. I actually really like a bunch of different skiing, both the trick skiing, where they're doing the jumps, kind of like you see with the snowboard.
They're doing that right now, actually, or they were, yeah.
Yeah. And there's the downhill's intense. We talked about it a little bit, they seem to have these crazy fast tracks and just people get injured all the time on them. It's just such a dangerous sport. They're just going at these crazy speeds. But the moguls, people that don't know, they're bouncing between different little heavy patches of snow that are hard to very dense. And so they're just sort of bouncing between them and try to get down there as quickly as possible without dying. I tend to hate moguls because it's just sometimes you just get stuck on them if you don't go quickly enough. And it's annoying as a casual skier, but it's pretty impressive to watch at the Olympic level for sure.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with C-Dub Guitar. It looks so hard on the knees and lower back. It really does. I'm
it is actually. That's what they're known for. Their knees and lower back problems can cost them in that sport.
Right. I have metal rods in my back, so I try to avoid them. In fact, my parents used to get pissed at me because I used to take a lot of jumps on skis off of things and do not crazy flips, but try to do simple tricks. And my parents were like, "You've got metal rods in your back. What the heck are you thinking?" And I'm like, you can only live once, right? So, I haven't done it in a long time, but yeah, skiing is really interesting, and there's definitely some skiing events going on right now. If people are watching live on NBC, at least on the Eastern time zone, I don't know what's being displayed on the West Coast.
There is a major story on the freestyle skiing, though. The Eileen Gu, I'm sure you guys know that name. She born in San Francisco and just decided at 15 years old to denounce her American citizenship. So she's skiing for China now, and because her mother was Chinese. And she's also a model. And she made the decision 4 years ago when she was 15 years old. She's 19 now. And there's a lot of controversy because I believe that her decision was based on, where can I make the most money as a model? It had nothing to do with the sport. She was saying, trying to be this Puritan and saying that, I want to unite the world and all that. And reality is, I think she went over there because she got so many contracts, Chinese contracts for modeling there, that it overrode reason and all that. So now she's competing for China, and it's kind of a slap in the face to America to say that China, I want to compete for China, a country that's not known for their to be good people to their citizens or whatever. And honestly, I don't even think Beijing should get the Olympics, but that's a whole other point for another day. But that was a story that has to be brought up and has to be mentioned, because I don't know how she did today or how she's doing.
That would make her tough to root for, right? Like that would make her really tough to root for.
Well, yeah. There's some page called her the jerk of the Olympics, right? So
yeah,
I honestly think that her decision was all career based. She's a model and she was looking to make money off it. So
I mean, I think more power to her on that front. But as far as like trying to, I mean,
well, to make it sound like you're trying to be the good person doing the right thing.
That's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. Like you're trying to make it something that you're not, and that's
she
that's
won.
Where...
She won gold.
She won.
She won tonight.
Well,
there's an American gold medal gone.
Well, whatevs. We'll take it back in the Summer Olympics.
Yeah, it's true. All right, we got one more event just for timing purposes that we'll talk about tonight, and then maybe we'll have you guys be the anchor next week and come back, because I know that we'll have Super Bowl talk, and I'll have my NBA roundtable, and I know that you guys live on the West Coast, so maybe I'll have you come back towards the tail end of next week to talk more Olympics if you're available. The last one I want to talk about is speed skating, because you both had it on your list of topics to talk about.
Yep.
So, Davey, I'll let you start, and then I'll get Modfather's thoughts on it as well.
Well, let me first say hello to your little kitten. I mean, hello there. What's the name?
I'm jealous I don't have a cat. I would have brought a cat in here if I would have known.
I know. Yeah, his name is Neville. He's I've known Neville now 10 years, which is crazy. He's a package deal with my wife. When I met her, he came along for the ride. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Well, why don't we start with...
He's a Cali kitty, too. He's from California.
Is he really?
Yeah. She got him off the streets in California.
Oh, look at that. Wow. Yeah. I hope
that's where you can find Davey.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can find me, too.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll meet each other at some point.
Exactly.
Neville. So speed skating, yeah. So, we could go any number of directions. Let's start with the mixed team relay final. That was a disaster. Giant collision right off the bat, and then China beat out Italy and Hungary for the gold, and there were just so many collisions in that 2000 mixed team relay final. It was just a mess. And Modfather, were you watching that too? Like that was just it literally looked like a train wreck.
Yeah, the funny thing about the sport is I love the sport. I don't know what it is about that sport. It is so much fun to watch, but you spend at least as much time, or no, way more time doing video reviews, because the judges got to go, we got to disqualify someone here because something happened every single race. The number of disqualifications. But it is what it is, because you put a bunch of super fast skaters in this tiny little rink and say, go as fast as you can. What's going to happen, right? And there's something funny that someone pointed out on Davey's Discord today, that one of the Chinese skaters took one of those little tiny pylons, or just like little puck-sized pylons, and shoved it forward so it went under the skates of another athlete, and they wiped out.
Do you think that really happened though? Like, did you? That's an interesting.
We never saw the video, so I tried finding the video. I couldn't find
got
any.
Mysteriously deleted from the Reddit like that.
So I'm not sure if it's real or not. Do you think it's real?
I don't know if it is, because I'm just like looking if it's from that specific. The thing I was trying to figure out, I was like, what event was that from? Because I was trying to figure out when this happened. If it is from the 2,000 meter, yeah, I do kind of wonder if that was an actual authentic video. I never trust that stuff.
Yeah, the fact it got deleted made me wonder that too. But that's the
right.
nature of that sport. And the thing I find funny about that sport is that there's so much that they do, like cheating wise. They're all constantly trying to cheat. Every sinul person out there. I'm not saying just the Chinese are cheating. No, it's mostly the Americans, mind you. No, I'm kidding. They're all throwing up elbows. They're all doing something trying to gain an edge, and it's funny to watch because it's a brutal sport, but it's oh my god, is it hilarious to watch too, because it's just fun.
Yeah, it's like a much more condensed version of NASCAR racing. It's just sort of like just spills out all over the ice,
mixed in with roller derby.
Yeah, right. Seriously. So that was an experience. If you missed it, Robbie, go check out the replay.
I will for sure.
A couple of historic events in the other finals though. I think the most notable is that of the women's 1,500 meter final. 35-year-old Irene I don't think I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Eileen Woost clinches her third 1500-meter gold medal in 4 games, which just in and of itself just sounds amazing, and sixth gold overall in in all the Olympics. And the time she set in this event set an Olympic record. So that's an awesome moment for. I think she's from the Netherlands, if I remember correctly. But just an incredible run, like these Olympics. Like she's like the Michael Phelps of that specific event. So really good to see. And then in the 500-meter final on the women's side, Ariana Fontana overtakes Suzanne Schulting in the last lap and a half with an inside turn to take the gold, and Schulting gets the silver, and Kim Bhutan from Canada with the bronze. I'm assuming that was head-to-head. The thing about the speed skating that's a little weird is that I think they just do heats, and then like whoever has the fastest time ends up winning. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're it's not like a tournament. I don't think it's a tournament style from what I saw, where like you beat X person and then you advance to the next round. I just think like whoever has the fastest time. But since you can only do like 3 or 4 people at a time in an individual final, I think sometimes you can have a really good time and you have to wait out like the rest of the field to see if you won. Do you know what I mean? But Modfather, what did you think of all these speed skating events?
Well, it's interesting you'd say that, because in short track speed skating, they don't do it like regular speed skating where you have just 2 people on the ice and they're going full out and it's just time, right? And I've often wondered if they did that, it might be better, because but it would take away from the fun of watching them try to kill each other. But it would be interesting to see who is the fastest 500-meter skater. Forget the fact that someone got an elbow up in someone's face, or somebody was able to had a little bit of a bad start. You have a bad start in a 500-meter race, you're dead, right? So
yeah.
Little details like that. I would just like to see who's the fastest 500-meter skater on an indoor track, because the speeds they go at. I would love to go watch that. I've never actually seen one personally, and so I'd love to go watch a competition one day, because it would be fun to watch.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to speed skate? Because you notice how much bigger the skates are for speed skating over hockey. Like they're like
it's a whole different world. Jillian was one of the fastest skaters I've ever seen, and we took her out for a couple of speed skating things. I probably should have pushed her a little bit on that, because she was insanely fast as a skater. But it's a whole different world with those long skates. You can't turn, you can't you can't maneuver, and you can't stop. There's no stopping whatsoever. I'm sure you notice when they're going, they just keep going until they run out of steam, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
It's all about speed, though. They're just designed to go fast, and that's it. Nothing else.
Good stuff.
All right,
relays are wild. Like in that scenario too. Like it's like, how do you do a relay? And then you see them try, and like, how do you like? They have to come in a different angle, and then they push them.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like
isn't it just weird? Yeah.
It is.
There's no other way to do it, though. You can't really hand off a baton or anything. It'd just be like death trying to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hate to do this, but I do have my NBA roundtable that's going to have to come in shortly. But I'll let each one of you guys give a final thought of the first couple of days of the Olympics, and any shout out that you'd like to give for any upcoming event or anything you'd like to talk about. Then we'll let each one of you guys go, and then maybe we'll have you guys back for more Olympics coverage towards the tail end of next week's show, if you guys are available. But I'll start off with you, Modfather. Any final thoughts on the beginning stages of these Olympics?
You know what? Every year the Olympics, I get so excited, and then I try to watch too many sports, right? And it drives me wild, because there's sports I can't watch. But one thing that does drive me crazy in Canada is the amount of the coverage they do for figure skating. I like figure skating. They are athletes. They're watching them. I usually turn the sound off, because I don't want to imagine them dancing. I just want to see what they're doing, because it's insane. If you've ever skated, you go, oh my God, the stuff they do on skates is wild. So I always get disappointed, though, because we get inundated with figure skating here. And it's really, I don't think any sport that's judged with any kind of artistic value should be in the Olympics. I just really don't believe that. And they overdo it with figure skating. They've created a new competition called the team figure skating thing or whatever. It's just, honestly, I don't think of it much of a sport. I like watching it. I think they're insanely good athletes, but I just don't look at it as a sport. And one other thing that happened funny at the Olympics this year, well, not funny, it was scary to me. In 2010, a luger got killed in Vancouver in the Olympics. the luger was not very good. They were from Georgia and not Georgia in the States, Georgia in Europe, but they were an awful loser, and they made a big mistake, and they went off the track and hit a pole that nobody thought anyone could ever possibly hit. So his cousin competed a couple of days ago in the Olympics, same age as his cousin when he died, 21 years old, and this guy couldn't luge. And I watched him go down, and I'm just like watching him go down the hill. So same last name, what's his name, Kamarcha Valley or something like that. Kamarcha. Anyways, it was one of those things where you go, they should have some kind of standard. You should be able to go down one of these hills before you actually compete in the Olympics. That was just a thought on that one. But you know what? I'm loving a lot of the sports I'm seeing. I'm having fun watching it. So it's been good.
I'm so happy you're able to come and break it down with us. And it's fun to actually get to see you. I know that usually we get to. Yeah. I've gotten to hear your voice on Davey's great AFC championship game.
That was a fun game. And you're still wrong about overtime, no matter what you say.
No.
Yeah.
I was vindicated immediately.
No, you immediately.
Yeah, immediately. It was though. The defense showed up like they could always do. And here's a good proof of it, right? They were in 4 championship games in a row, and they lost both by winning and losing the coin flip. So it doesn't matter what happens. They didn't win either one of them.
Nope.
Ask Buffalo about that. I'm not sure about that comment, but listen.
The defense can show up. It's all about all 3 phases of football. If it was just about the offense, then I would agree with you.
I still say the defense is the hardest position to play in the NFL, and they're too tired at the end to have one shot.
But yet, the defense showed up in the game that you guys were watching.
If he didn't intercept it and they got the touchdown, then it would just be okay. Well, how come we don't get a chance? It's just there's so much against it.
But why doesn't everyone get chances? I think if you're going to do that, we'll talk about it for 2 seconds. Then you give it 10 minutes, and whoever's winning at the end of 10 minutes wins. Because whoever's winning at the, one team has it, then the other team has it. And then why doesn't that just keep on going forever? Because that's what the college rules were for forever. But
I kind of equate that coin toss to, or that one possession after a coin toss thing to penalty shots in hockey, to decide a game. I've never, ever agreed with penalty shots in hockey to decide a game. I don't mind the fact they do it during regular season. It's, it's kind of fun to watch or whatever, but I can't stand it. Like the Europeans love it. All their hockey championships. It's tied. Well, we're going to go to penalty shots. No.
My solution is you do 5 minutes of 4-on-4 followed by 5 minutes of 3-on-3. And then if it's still tied, then you could go to the shootout. That's my, how I would solve it. But
I love that idea.
Yeah. So, but Modfather, it was great to have you join us, and I hope that people check you out. I know you can check them out on Primordial Sounds, also on Jillian's channel, and all over Twitch. You're a fantastic person and part of our Twitch music community, and I appreciate you as always. And I hope to have you on, and maybe next week if you're available, or on another show sometime soon.
I know we shouted out Jillian, but a shout out to Primordial Sounds too. Both Robbie and I over there. Shout out to him.
Yeah, for sure. In my shout out command, I definitely gave a shout out to both. So I appreciate you on both channels, and we'll definitely talk soon.
Take it easy, Modfather. Nice to see you.
Yeah. All right, Davey. Thank you so much for the raid. I really appreciate that, and it was really fun to have you be a part of this. I know we've now gotten to talk 2 different Olympics, which is kind of a cool thing. That's true. Just the short time that we've been able to be friends. And I look forward to more Olympic coverage, and maybe even next week if you're available. And I really appreciate your insight and bringing all your friends over here. And I definitely, I enjoyed your show earlier. I hope that people go check out the VOD for that, and to definitely check out the Together wherever. It looks like a really great lineup, so I hope people follow that as well. Davey, any final thoughts before I let you go?
Well, I really appreciate being able to talk sports. Like this is definitely my wheelhouse, and I'll keep up to date on the rest of the Olympics. We'll see what happens. I do think the Americans are screwed in terms of like trying to get to the top of the medal rankings, but let's not worry about that. I think it's going to be a fun Olympics anyway. It'll be good. I agree with my father in the terms of the figure skating. Can sometimes it can be a little irritating dealing with like judging and all the histrionics that are involved with that sport. But all in all, I think the Winter Olympics do have a lot to show us, and we've seen it already. So I think stay tuned, everybody. Keep it on your various channels to check out the Olympics the rest of the way. I think there's a lot of excitement in store.
Yeah, that's awesome. We just got another raid, which is maybe the most raids I've ever gotten on a single show. So the Sunshine
I've heard that.
86.
It's a good topic.
And I'm gonna give them a quick shout out. And thank you so much. The Sunshine 86. Cool. And I see that Cliff is in chat as well. And does that command work? All right, I see. But I really appreciate them for joining us. They love gaming and shooting guns and dirt track and all sorts of cool things. Stream mostly COD. Yeah, so that's really cool.
And welcome, Raiders. And Robbie, thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your show. Hopefully the NBA segment goes well too.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for joining me, and we'll definitely talk more soon. And we really appreciate everyone for joining us. We're going to switch gears real quick, and we're going to bring in our NBA roundtable. And I really appreciate everyone for being a part of that Olympics talk. We're going to bring in DC's People's Champ, who's been one of our mods in chat, and we're going to bring in Arun as well. Champ, it's been an exciting night on our Twitch stream. How are you doing tonight?
Well, you're welcome for that third raid. I told her to raid you because I said, if you want to see me on the podcast, come raid me because she's got to go pick up her daughter in a few minutes. So I told her to raid you. So you're welcome.
I appreciate that. I love all raids, and I love people that love DC's People's Champ. So it's a combo right there. So
yeah, I'm one of her mods, so that's why. Yeah,
that's awesome. And Arun, how are you doing tonight?
Not bad, considering how badly the Wizards played.
Yeah, we're going to get into that game. I'm going to share the screen real quickly here. We're doing a 3-up tonight, just the three of us. We're going to try to quickly do a speed round of going through these games. The first one up is this Wizards versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Well, let me switch the view over here. And there we go. So it started off, the Bucks outscored them 24-20. Then outscored them 29-20 in the second. The Wizards fought their way back in the third, outscored 33-25. And then the Bucks extended their lead by outscoring them 34-25 for a 112-98 win. Kyle Kuzma put up 25. Trez put up 20 points, but it wasn't enough on the other side. Giannis, who always kills us, had a triple-double, 33 points, 11 assists, and 15 rebounds. And Drew Holiday had 22 points as well. We'll start off with Champ. What are your thoughts on this game?
right. So I already had a feeling that this game was probably not going to go the Wizards' way. And the fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo messed around and got a triple-double just made it all too obvious for me. This not a very good defensive performance by this team, and this team has to realize that they don't score a lot. So if you're not scoring a lot, you have to play defense because you have to. The object of the game is to get more points than your opponent. For those who don't know how this works, so Kyle Kuzma went out there, had 25 and 11, so he had a double-double. Trez had 20 off the bench. So they had some score, and KCP had 12, but it wasn't enough scoring when you have Giannis out here throwing up 33 and just no defense, no sense of like fight or anything like that. They showed a little bit of fight in the third quarter, but for the most part, it was all Bucks this game, and that's why we have the result that we have.
Yeah, Arun, what are some of your thoughts on the stats of this game?
Yeah, the Wizards actually they were blown out pretty early in this game, but they came back and they made an 88-85, but they were outscored dramatically after Rui started talking trash to Giannis, which wasn't a good idea. But it's good that the young players had a good game in this game. When they were on the court, Denny, Kispert, Rui had the highest on off plus numbers, so they were outscoring the other team when they were on the floor compared to everybody else. But without Beal, they, as Ken alluded to, they didn't have enough offensive firepower. Although Kuzma had a good game, there wasn't enough defense in this game. Thomas Bryant left the game with an injury. The team actually played better defense when he left, but wasn't enough. Even the game was a lot closer in the fourth quarter, but they were just blown out again in the fourth quarter.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, we kind of thought this was going to happen. I'm happy that we didn't go 0 for 4 this week because we were a little bit worried that was a possibility. The 76ers game was really exciting. I'm happy that the Wizards played so well. They outscored 29-28 in the first, outscored 30-26 in the second. The 76ers kind of came back in the third, outscored them 25-22, and the Wizards outscored them just barely in the fourth, 25-24. But every point mattered in a game where they only won 106-103. Kyle Kuzma had 24. The only other people that were in double figures, we had Spencer Dinwiddie with 14. We had Trez with 14, Rui at 11, and Corey Kispert had 11. We had a couple of players with 9, though, with Daniel Gafford and Neto. But overall, the Wizards played pretty well and had good enough defense at the end. Joel Embiid had 27 points and 14 rebounds, but he didn't break the 30-point barrier. We kind of always say that he needs to get his. But like, how can we sort of stop everybody else? 2 other players did score a fair amount of points, but they were able to still able to come away with the victory. I'm going to start this time with Arun. Arun, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, the Wizards played really good defense down the stretch in this game. Kyle Kuzma came up with a huge block on Joel Embiid down the stretch. Spencer Dinwiddie with a Russell Westbrook type line with the triple-double, 14 points, I believe 12 rebounds, and a lot of assists. But the momentum continued from the play that they showed against the Bucks. It was a back-to-back. It was a weird win for the Wizards. The 76ers actually did beat the Grizzlies without Joel Embiid just a couple of days ago when the Wizards were blown out by the Grizzlies. But it just goes to show anything can happen in the NBA. It's just weird that the 76ers didn't come off a back-to-back. And they, as you alluded to last week, Robbie, that the Sixers' next game was on a Saturday. It just was a good win for the Wizards against one of the best teams in the East.
Yeah, for sure. I was just really surprised by this result. I was very happy about it because we needed to get a win somewheres, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. And Champ, what are some of your thoughts on this game?
I honestly, and I said it last week, I did not think we were going to win this game because it was coming off a back-to-back and it was on the road from coming off the road. So I figured this was going to be, I thought this game was chalk, honestly. But the Wizards went out there and showed that fight that they normally show in a lot of games that they've had. They went out there and fought, and what we are failing to mention is that, yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie only had 14 points, but he had a triple-double. So that came up huge in this game for them to be able to snap a 6-game losing streak and really start to put things in, like try to put things together. And so great result for this game that they would come off of losing big in Milwaukee, have to turn around and play in Philly, and end up beating Philly despite Joel Embiid having 27 points and 14 rebounds, a double-double. Great win for the Wizards.
Yeah, it's a good point because it seems whenever we're playing with Bradley Beal, Spencer kind of whittles away, if you will. You know, like he just doesn't like doesn't take control. Like I feel like I really want him to, and it brings up a lot of questions. Like, should we get something for Bradley Beal and just try to get a couple of picks and some players around him and just try to build around the rest of this team? Or do we really still believe Bradley Beal is the future? So I'll ask that real quickly to each one of you. I'll start with you, Champ. What are your thoughts? Do you think you trade while Bradley Beal still has some value?
I want everybody that's watching this Twitch stream and listening to this podcast to hear me and hear me good. No. Listen, Bradley Beal is basically the face of this franchise. It was John Wall for the longest time, but it's Bradley Beal. yes, he's very valuable enough to get some quality picks and to be able to build a new future. But do you want to take a chance of doing that and ended up having that blow up in your face? I don't think so. I think that Bradley Beal still has a lot of great years ahead of him. And I think that if you trade him now to try to get picks, I'm just afraid that'll blow up in your face when those picks don't work out and you end up just wondering, like, why do we do that? So my answer is no, we don't.
And Arun, what are your thoughts?
I think it just comes down to the fact that Bradley Beal's going to be making 5 years, $250 million. So are the Wizards, A, going to re-sign him, and B, if they're not, then they might as well get something. But I think the Wizards are not going to trade Bradley Beal, but it wouldn't be necessarily the end of the world if they do trade Beal, given that he's going to get a John Wall or Russell Westbrook kind of contract, and he hasn't been a top 25 player this season, even though he was a couple of years ago. He's only averaging 23 points per game. Granted, Spencer Dinwiddie, he's not been playing well, like with his contract. You could go either way. Maybe the Wizards, maybe Ken's right. They can't get, you don't know what you're getting in a trade, but they're not going to bring him back. Then they might trade him, especially with the contract he's going to be demanding this offseason.
Yeah, I just don't. He seems to be declining from where we saw him last year. So if maybe it's a 1 year anomaly, but like I don't know if I want to spend that kind of crazy money. I feel like we were lucky to get out of the John Wall situation. I don't want to be like right back into the same situation again. And I love Bradley Beal, but I just don't know how he's going to perform going forward. And there's just a lot of question marks there. If I think that he is going to rebound, then obviously keeping him is good. I don't know if he's going to be worth that contract, but if he's not, then we're going to be stuck in a similar way that we were with John Wall. So I want to try to avoid that at all costs, at least in my opinion. Let's move on to the next game just for timing purposes. I know we're already at 11 o'clock. This one we'll go over quickly because we thought we'd get blown out by the Phoenix Suns, and we pretty much did. I mean, we only scored 80 points in this game, which is pretty bad. The Wizards were outscored 33-21 to start, 26-11 in the second, 26-19 in the third, and then the Wizards actually outscored them 29-10. So I can't believe they were able to hold the Suns to 10. But at that point, a lot of the reserves are in. But at the rate they were going, I was surprised that they didn't hit the 100 mark. But the fact that we only scored 80 points in today's NBA is pretty bad. We had nobody that was over 20 points. We actually only had two players in double figures, Trez and Holiday, and just a really disappointing game overall. But we thought that could happen. I'll go to you first, Champ. What are your thoughts on this game?
Right. So the fact that DeAndre Anton in only 24 minutes had a double-double of 20 points and 16 rebounds, that should tell you a lot about how this game went, by the way. Yeah, this game wasn't close. Yeah, the final result says it was only a 15-point loss, but it took them outscoring them by 19 in the fourth quarter to only lose by 15. Just something you have to think about. This was not close at all, and this is another one of those games where once again they didn't do enough scoring and they didn't play well enough on defense in order to mitigate the fact that they were going up against a top team in the West. The top team in the West did what they were supposed to do and beat a team they were supposed to beat, which was the Wizards.
I'm looking at this free throw thing. The fact that the Suns were 50% for the line, 7 for 14, I see it so rarely. But on the flip side, the field goal percentage, the Wizards 35% for field goal. That is awful. Like you're hoping for 50, right? So I mean, 35 is about as bad as you see in most NBA games. Just pretty atrocious. Arun, what are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, this game wasn't that close. If the Suns didn't score in the fourth quarter, they still would have won by 5 points. They were up by as many as 36 points, and they were playing guys like Elfrid Payton, who may be out of the league. They were just experimenting with some bad lineups, and DeAndre Ayton, number one pick, he may have been a bad pick over Luka Doncic, but if he's a number one pick in any other draft, he's definitely a lot better than Kwame Brown. But the I think the Thomas Bryant, he was pretty bad again defensively, came back from that injury. Not a lot of Daniel Gafford until garbage time, and he played well in garbage time, but it was just weird that Gafford wasn't starting this game. And another blowout, Dinwiddie, another bad game. But the Suns are a great team, and this loss was expected.
Right, for sure. Man, Dinwiddie scoring had 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 points. And he's the guy who usually shows up in some of these games. Anyway, let's go to tonight's game, which I barely talked about on tonight's podcast because it was so bad by the time we tuned in. The Heat outscored them 39-24 in the first. The Wizards stormed back in the second, outscored them 29-21 to make it, I believe it was like a 7-point game at halftime. So I thought, maybe we'll have a game of it. Instead, in the third, Miami outscored them 31-17. And in the fourth, both teams scored 30 points for a 21-point victory for the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are a very good team this year. The Wizards' top scorers were Corey Kispert was the top scorer for the Wizards. I wonder how many times we'll win with that. And Montrezl Harrell had 13. Aaron Holiday had 14. Kyle Kuzma had 12. On the Heat side, Bam had a good game, 7 rebounds, 21 points. Jimmy Butler had 19 points. And it was very even scoring throughout the lineup. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players in double figures in that. So that's going to be tough to beat. I'll start off with Champ. What are some of your thoughts on this game?
I said it in our group chat. The Wizards are ass from beyond the arc. They are ass. They shot 22% from the 3-point line. 22%. And opposite of that, the Heat were just on from 3-point land. 56%. It was almost like they couldn't miss even if they wanted to. This was another game where it just was not close. It wasn't close. And again, and it's another game in the stretch that this Wizards team has had since starting at 10-3, where they never led in this game. They never led in this game, and the biggest lead that the Heat had was 35 points. That is insane to me, to think that this team that started off so good is now sitting 5 games under 500, and if the season ended today, they're not in the playoffs. They're not in the playoffs. Now, the Heat are a good team. They're number 1 in the East, granted. But they usually play a lot better against teams of this caliber, and they just did not. And I'm kind of disappointed that my guy, Tyler Hero, didn't even play in this game. He was out. He didn't play in this game because of right knee soreness. So I wanted to see what he was going to do here, but he didn't play. But other than that, no, not a good game.
Arun, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this, as Ken said, the Wizards shot terribly from 37-31, and the Heat were 18-32. So that's going to seal most wins, and that doesn't even tell the story. Bryant, again, another really bad defensive effort. He's definitely shouldn't be starting at this point, especially if you want to set the tone defensively. The Suns game, they did hold them under 100 points, but that's because the garbage time in the fourth quarter, the Suns only scored 10 points in the fourth quarter. In this game, Miami backcourt dominated the Wizards backcourt, which without Beal, this is definitely the worst backcourt in the NBA. Dinwiddie and Holiday. Sorry, guys, but I can't think of a worse backcourt than that. And there was a fight between the Wizards assistant coaches and some fans after the game. That's not a good look. That's probably the highlight of this game, and maybe people will talk about that more.
That referee was calling a lot of texts in this game too. That's what kind of threw me off as well. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. So here's the updated standings right now. So people don't know, the top 6 automatically make it. The next 4 will battle it out for those next 2 spots, where the 7 plays the 8, and that winner of that game gets the 7 seed. The loser of that game plays the winner of the 9-10 matchup for who decides to get the 8th seeded. So the Wizards right now and the Knicks, if Brian Brennan's listening after the fact, are the 2 teams that are out of the picture right now. They're only just a couple of games back of the Hawks and the Hornets, but they're falling fast, and it's not looking good. Looking at the standings, Ken, do you think we'll make the playoffs this year, or do you think we're just going to miss it?
That is hard to say, Robbie, honestly, because we don't know what this Wizards team is capable of. They don't know. They don't even know their own identity right now. They go into games like they had the second biggest choke job in the history of the NBA about a couple of weeks ago, and then they just got blown out like 3 of the last 4 games this week. So it's hard to say what this team is capable of, what they're going to do. The All-Star break is coming up. They need to figure it out, honestly. Coach Unseld, yes, he's a first-year coach. I get it. But Coach Unseld, you are coaching in the Washington, D.C. market where the fans are very impatient and they want results now. And right now, they're not getting the results that they want. And they're going to want your head after year 1. So you need to figure it out, and you need to figure it out now. Otherwise, they're going to be calling for your head, and they're going to be calling for a new head coach. Short answer, I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Arun, same question. What are your thoughts on the playoffs coming up?
Yeah, right now it's going to be really tough because I don't even see who's going to slip. Like the 10 seed, I think, was the Atlanta Hawks, and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So it's going to take like some team like that. And the Brooklyn Nets, they've slipped all the way down to 7. I don't think that's going to last if Kevin Durant comes back. Maybe there's some injury luck in the Wizards' favor. Maybe some other team gets injured, but right now the Wizards are dealing with the Bradley Beal injury themselves, and seems like there's a lot of chemistry issues on this team. Harrell arguing with KCP, they had a fight. Then the assistant coaches arguing with the fans. It's not looking really good right now. The COVID with Wes Unseld Jr., it seems to have gotten them off the wrong track. Daniel Gafford being cut out of the rotation, even though he's the best defensive big on the Wizards. It's going to take a big turnaround to get it going. It is possible. Maybe they can pass the Hornets or the Celtics, but those two teams, well, the Hornets aren't playing that well, but the Celtics are playing much better than the first half of the season. We can't even discount, like, maybe the Knicks actually put together their teams like the Knicks that are right there with the Wizards. So right now I'm going to say no, the Wizards don't make it, but they're going to have to prove a lot in the next couple weeks. Right before the trade deadline, they said they might try to trade for Domantas Sabonis. There was a rumor today a very long shot rumor, it sounds like, that Russell Westbrook would be traded to the Rockets and be bought out and the Wizards would sign him. I don't know if the Wizards can really hope for that to happen, but although they do definitely miss Russell Westbrook over Spencer Dinwiddie, even though they seem to have won that trade, they do probably need an upgrade at the point guard position. But right now, I don't really. Maybe Toronto's the team that they pass, but they're playing better than the Wizards at the moment. So right now, I'm going to say no. The Wizards are probably going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. The Nets are 2-8. The Hornets are 3-7. Looking at the weaker links of the bottom here. But the Wizards themselves are 2-8, and so are the Knicks. So they're not doing any better. Let's take a quick look at the upcoming schedule. I'll go through it, and I'll give each one of you guys a game. There's a Thursday game. So we've got a bit of a break here against the Nets that we talked about, one of the teams that we need to try to jump ahead of in the standings. That's at Thursday, February 10th at 7:30. And then we play the Kings also at home on Saturday at 7. And then next Monday, we'll have another live game, Pistons at Wizards, and that'll be a 7:00 game. So I'll give each one of you guys one of the Nets Kings games, and then I'll get both your takes on the Pistons one. I'll start off with you, Champ. Do you want the Nets or the Kings?
I want the Nets because I feel like this is a winnable game because Durant's out. He's out with an injury, so he won't be much of a factor. You won't have to worry about him. Harden is a game time decision. He's dealing with a hamstring injury. You might get Beal back from his wrist injury. We won't know. Gafford, even though he's not in the rotation, he is out because of COVID. So this is a winnable game for the Wizards as long as guys like Kuzma and like Dinwiddie and KCP step up and actually put up some points, and they play good defense. Arun has alluded to this a bunch of times during this segment that Thomas Bryant should not be starting if he's not playing valuable defense in the middle. So you need to get someone defensively in the middle that'll do that, which is most likely Montrezl Harrell. So this is a winnable game, and I feel like they win this one, especially when you don't have Durant in there because he'll be out with injury.
And Arun, what are your thoughts on the Kings coming to town on Saturday?
Yeah, the Kings are actually playing better than the Nets at the moment. The Kings actually beat the Nets, and they held James Harden to 4 points. Their point guard combination, Davion Mitchell, Halliburton, and Fox, they're just those point guards are any of them would be the best point guard right now on the Wizards. So we'll see how. I think this is a very winnable week for the Wizards. Very easy schedule, especially compared to last week. I think they should beat the Sacramento Kings, especially at home.
All right, so the last game of this little homestand here that we've been on, so we've already played the first two, and these are the next three games, is Monday, Valentine's Day, 7 o'clock. Again, we'll be on air at 9 o'clock next week. So the game will be just ending while we're doing our hockey talk / we'll go over the Super Bowl as well, and then we'll have our NBA roundtable. We'll probably end with our Olympic coverage next week. I'll get your thoughts first, Champ, on the Pistons coming to town.
Again, this is another winnable game. The Pistons are not that good at all. They are not good at all. So this is definitely a winnable game, but this is one of those games where the Wizards should win and they'll end up getting slapped around in their own gym. You won't have Josh Jackson to deal with. He's currently out with a back injury, though he may be back. We don't know. Hopefully you get Gafford back. Hopefully you already have Bill back. Both teams are terrible from beyond the arc, so you don't have to worry about Detroit shooting the lights out from beyond the arc, but you still have to play quality defense in order to stop them and to end up getting the victory. I'm calling this a win, but I won't be surprised if they lose because they seem to play down to teams that they should just absolutely run out of the gym, honestly.
Arun, do you agree?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say a win, but yeah, I also agree. Kind of when the last one surprised me. The Nets actually haven't. For instance, the Nets haven't won a game since they beat the Wizards. Everyone's probably looking like the Pistons are probably looking at the Wizards the same way the Wizards are looking at the Pistons. Like, oh, this is a win that we definitely could have, especially since the Pistons have only won 2 of their last 11 games. So Valentine's Day, let's see the Wizards. Maybe they'll get it going for all those lovers out there.
Yeah, hopefully. Maybe people will bring their dates and celebrate hard. So I'm going to end the screen share there. I'm going to get your guys' final take on a different topic, and then I'll let you guys go. I'm sure you can guess what it's going to be. What is your thoughts on the new team name? I know we already got Carol's thoughts a little bit earlier. I'm going to start off with Arun. Are you buying Commanders? Are you? How do you feel now being a Commanders fan?
I definitely don't like the name the Commanders. It's kind of a weird name, especially I like somebody said like the Commanders. There's like too many commanders. There's no chain of command if it's just a team of commanders. I do like the G.I. Joe kind of like logo, but I don't think Dan Snyder is going to do that. They're probably going to salute a lot of the troops. I've heard a lot of fans already hate the name. They're calling them the commies. They actually preferred the football team over this name and some other team names. It didn't seem like Snyder saw team input from the fans. It kind of reminded me when the Bullets were renamed the Wizards. This was probably one of the last choices that fans wanted. I never heard any fans really wanting the Commanders. But wins ultimately will make more Commanders fans. If they don't win, then they definitely lost a lot of brand equity from those 3 Super Bowls. It's been 30 years since Washington's made it to Super Bowls, and the team name, the Commanders, if they keep losing like they've been since I think 1999 when Snyder took over, they've only won 2 playoff games. One when Snyder in 1999 when he bought the team, and one in 2006. But only like I think the Dallas Cowboys have had like that little amount of success since like 1996. So not a good. I don't think it's a good name, but wins will ultimately make more fans come support them.
Right. Well, I'll get Champ's thoughts real quick. What are your thoughts on the new name?
The name will grow on me. Just like when they said when they got rid of the original name and went with Washington Football Team, I didn't like it then, but it grew on me. This name will grow on me, but right now I'm not feeling the name at all. I'm not. And the moment I heard it was announced, all I thought about was, how does DJ feel about the fact he literally said on this podcast last week the fans got duped, and it turned out that was the actual name of the team. So yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it at all. But I'm pretty sure it'll grow on me, and I think I agree with Arun that if the team goes out and the 2022-2023 season and they win, I think that name will become a household name for a lot of football fans, especially fans of this Washington football team. But right now, I'm not feeling it, honestly.
I'm putting one more logo up on screen on our Twitch chat. It's the Commanders crest that has dates on it. I want to get Arun's thought on this. Why did they pick the years that they won the Super Bowl, not
What
the
the
years
hell
from?
is this?
Yeah, like I don't understand. So for people to understand, usually football talks about the season in which they were coming from. So for example, this Super Bowl that's happening in 2022 is the Super Bowl for the 2021 season. And according to this crest here, the 3 Super Bowls happened for Washington in the 3 years following the seasons in which most people believe that they won. So, Arun, what is your quick take on this crest?
Yeah, this just goes in line with probably the rollout of the whole like team name. Like, it's just I think the wrong year. Helicopter caught the Commanders logo. Doug Williams, he's a great guy, but he's not a really articulate speaker, like in terms of really getting the fans going. And they didn't really do like all like they needed to do to get the fans really amped up for this name. And this is just another example of the years being wrong. And we'll see. I think they need to really hire some better marketing to get, even if they settle on Commanders, it was just an awful rollout of the team name.
I mean, I'll on my free time, and I don't have very much free time, I would love to help them out because this has been one of the worst rollouts I've ever seen. And it's funny because I kept on thinking, TJ must be right that this is a fake out, right? Because it's so bad from the beginning. And I'm like, there's no way that this could be real. And I love the team. You know, I want to root for it. I want to see it succeed. But they're just tripping themselves up here. Champ, what are your thoughts on this crest deal?
This is bullshit. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. This is bullshit right here. And also, I have to go back to what Arun said, that the last time this team made it to a Super Bowl was 30 years ago. I'm 38, by the way. I'm just gonna put that out there. So wow, like that's just a really crazy thing to think about, that 30 years ago when I was 8 years old, I watched this team win a Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills. And that was one of the best teams this team has had in years in history. But no, this crest is bullshit, honestly. Like, they need to fix this. This whole rollout was bullshit. And that's why this team name is not widely received positively, because of this rollout and everything about it. But as we said previously, if they win and they win and they win, people will forget about the rollout because they'll be like, oh, this team is winning. But yeah, this is ridiculous. This is crazy.
I agree. All right. Well, I just want to get some of your guys' thoughts on some of these things here. But I really appreciate you guys for joining me and being a part of Wizards Talk through the ups and the downs, and a part of Commanders Talk. Is that what it is now? Commanders Chat. We're gonna have to come up with something. Call me time. So it'll be man, watching Dallas fans just rail on us. It was tough.
Arun, I don't think Kami Talk's gonna go over very well. I'm just gonna put that out there right now. I'm just saying.
Cowboys versus Commies.
Yeah, exactly. All right. With that being said, we've gone 20 minutes over, but I really appreciate you guys for staying on the line and being a part of this, and everyone for still tuning in to this conversation. Arun, what are your final thoughts before we let you go tonight?
Yeah, I did not get RG3's thoughts about this name. I'm really curious what they were. Maybe I'll put that out in this new book, but I'm looking forward to I just didn't have time to watch the Olympics, but hopefully I'll find some time to watch the Olympics. And sounds like a lot was going on, and I'm glad you guys were really excited to talk about it. And thanks for having me on today's show.
Arun, I don't think RG3 is gonna have much thoughts on the team name because he's too busy making too many Instagram reels with his wife, and they're so wild. By the way, I just want to put that out there.
That's crazy.
They need to hire. They should have rolled him out instead of Doug Williams to announce the team name. Would have generated a lot more support.
For sure. I'm trying to decide who we're going to rate after this, but Champ, let people know if people could catch on the No Spots podcast this week.
All right. Well, this week on the No Spots podcast, we will be previewing WWE Elimination Chamber, where for the first time, the event will be taking place outside of the United States in the beautiful country of Saudi Arabia, which will feature 2 Elimination Chamber matches, one to determine a championship, another to determine a number 1 contender. Plus, we will talk about the week that's coming up as well. That's getting ready to happen this week as well. So make sure you tune in. Plus, New Japan is back in action in Japan after they canceled 3 of their 4 shows to end January because of COVID concerns. And we'll talk about all of that this Saturday. We're still at our regularly scheduled time of 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch, as well as uploading on our podcast channels as well. Make sure you check out SportsOTHP.com and the podcast partners button to listen to all previous episodes.
Awesome. I have a poll up. I don't know if anyone's going to vote in it, but I'm curious if people would like to go to music, games, or an IRL stream of one of my friends. Hattie is walking around Dubai. So we got that. We've got Willow Keys Gaming. He came over earlier. He's doing Dead by Daylight, or we could go to a music streamer. So we got 1 minute left on the poll up there. Definitely wherever that'll help me decide where we should go, because I know we've got raters that are from music and from games and from all sorts of different topics. So I'll let people decide what they would prefer between music, games, and IRL. But I want to thank everyone for being a part of this awesome stream, whether it was Davey with the raid, Jillian with the raid. We got a third raider. What was their username again? It was
the Sunshine 86, my good friend Sunshine. 86.
Yeah, so that was awesome. No one's voting here, so I'm gonna have to.
I actually put in a vote. I put in a vote.
I did.
I put in a vote.
It didn't show up for me. Let me see.
Really? Yeah, I put in a vote.
All right. Well, I'm gonna ask you what it is, because it's not showing up on my thing for some reason, which I don't know why. Oh, there it is. Now there's music and now there's games. Each has 1 vote. About 20 seconds left in this poll, so hurry up and break that tie.
Break the tie. Or did you already?
I'm going to break the tie.
I'm going to break the tie. Go ahead.
I don't know if I have time to sign in.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll just ask you, Arun. You can just tell me using your voice. Would you rather go to a music or a game stream? Because it's tied.
Game stream.
All right, game stream.
That's what I voted for.
All right, Willow Keys Gaming. It is. I'm a big fan of Will. He does a music stream. I'll give him a quick little shout out before we go over there. And we're going to Willow Keys Gaming, but he also is Willow Keys Piano, which is also a great stream where you can check out their music every single day, except for Thursdays and Sundays. But every other day they stream for 5 hours of music. So I'm going to start my raid here, but thank you so much, Arun and Champ, and for joining us, and Carol earlier, and Modfather, and also Davey coming. So that was really awesome. And so I'm going to start the raid right now. But thank you everyone for tuning in and being a part of this. I hope people hit the follow button and come back if they like what they see. And you can go to sportsothp.com. You can collect all of our old podcasts. as well as videos, merch, and more. We're getting close to our 6-year anniversary stream, which will be next month. And season 7 will start at the either end of March or the beginning of April. And so we got a lot more to cover. We'll maybe cover a little more Olympics next week if we can get Davey or my father to come back. We'll definitely talk about the Wizards games, the 2 games that happen this week, and the one that'll happen live. We'll also talk about the 3 Caps games next week and the Super Bowl, just a small little event that happens on next Sunday. So I look forward to that. Real quickly before we go and rate out, who do you have, champ, winning the Super Bowl?
Well, I said it last week. I'm going with the Bengals. I think that this has been a really magical season for them. Joe Burrow's been balling out, especially at the end of the regular season. I think this is the one. I think this is the one for them. Finally, they will finally get rid of the Bungles name and they will go back to the Bengals. I think they win the Super Bowl.
There's a Pokemon that appeared in chat, so I'm going to stop the raid for a second, let people try to catch this. But while I ask Arun the same question, who do you think is going to win?
I want the Bengals to win. Bengal Tigers from India, but in Cincinnati. But I think I'm going to go with the Rams because just they've also they've been playing a little bit more consistently than the Bengals, and like the Bengals have a couple really good wins, but they've also had some really bad losses, like losses to the Jets. But maybe they've overcome that. Burrow is great in these clutch situations. I am rooting for the Bengals, but I'm going to go with the Rams because of their defense.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I'll let people catch it for a second, but I'm about to do the raid button right now. But I thank everyone for tuning in and being a part of this. And I appreciate the 12 viewers that are going to come over, and let's go say hi to Will. And thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next week.
Recording stopped.